This is Talladega. Big, bad, fast, and guaranteed to be full of drama. A half dozen drivers still with a shot at the championship. Let's break down the title contenders with our pit reporters, beginning with Hermie Sadler.
Well, Vince, Matt Crafton comes into the round of 6, 3 points below the cut line, and he's 0 for 32 on super speedways in his career. The good news, they brought a fast truck to Talladega. They know the first points are on the line today at lap 20. They need to score some points. They will try to do that starting from the pole here at Talladega. Now, Brett Moffitt comes in as a defending series champion. 4 wins this year, including 2 of the last 3. But much like Crafton, he has never won on a super speedway. He knows today if he can get it done, he will race for a championship at Homestead, Alan.
Hermie, only one of the remaining playoff drivers has a victory at a super speedway. That driver, the 16 of Austin Hill, who won at Daytona earlier this year. He's also on a hot streak. He's won 2 of the last 4 races. A win today would mean he'd be one of the final 4 drivers at Homestead competing for a title. Then, one truck down, you look at the 45 of Ross Chastain. 3 wins on the season, but no wins so far in this playoff. If he's going to win today, he's going to do it from the 17th starting position, the worst of any of the playoff drivers. Jamie?
Well, Alan, Stuart Friesen sits 4th in the playoff standings right now. He qualified 10th here today. He's also carrying a little bit of momentum. He has finished inside of the top 10 in 8 out of the last 10 races. He feels confident that that trend could continue today, but he knows it's going to come down to working together and staying out of trouble. He worked on the draft a lot with the Chevrolet teammates in practice, and he's confident for today. Moving to the youngest driver in the playoffs, it is 18-year-old Tyler Ankrum. He qualified 2nd in what is his first ever super speedway race. He's already locked up the Rookie of the Year award. He's still in the championship hunt in 6th. He's feeling the pressure. He has all the nerves you would expect. But, Alan, he is ready.
Thanks a lot, Jamie. And, boy, what a big advantage it would be if one of those championship contenders could get that win today, knowing they're going to Miami with a shot at the championship. Great to have you with us, along with Michael Waltrip and Phil Parsons. I'm Vince Welch. You know, Phil, when we ran this race a year ago here at Talladega, it was the elimination race in the playoff round. Today, it's the first of 3 races in this particular round. Does that change the approach of these championship drivers? Can you possibly play it safe here?
I don't think so, Vince. I don't think whether this is the first or second or an elimination race in any round that you can play it safe. There are too many points on the board. These stages are relatively short here, only 20 laps. Brett Moffitt says, I treat these races like 3 races, and I think each one of these guys is going to have to race all 3 races today to try to advance in the playoffs and be in a good position as we go to Martinsville for our next race. Look back at last year. Stuart Friesen came in here with a chance to advance to the playoffs. You mentioned it was an elimination race. He had some issues early, did not get any stage points in stage 1 or stage 2, had a decent finish in the race. He finished 6th, but he only missed by advancing by 6 points. If he'd have got 6 points in the stages, he would have advanced on to the next round. So that's why these guys are going to have to race all day long, probably 3 different times, Michael.
Yeah, and there's a couple of guys that are in the playoffs, and they're starting outside the top 10. And in 2019, not a driver has won a race starting outside the top 10, excuse me. One of those drivers is Ross Chastain. He's starting 17th. We know he's going to be on the charge. He knows how important those stage points are, like you said, Phil. And the last time he was on one of these big tracks down in Daytona Xfinity race, he took the checkered flag. Watch for Ross to charge forward from the very beginning to get those points that you talked about earlier. Another guy we got to watch, Austin Hill. He put on a clinic down at Daytona in February, getting his first win. He led 39 laps. Heck, he only led 29 his whole career. So he showed he could get the job done. He's gotten hot lately, a couple of wins in the last 4 races. Watch for Hill to charge forward, too.
Well, we've talked a lot about those 6 drivers, the guys that are still in the championship hunt, but there's 32 drivers in the field. That means there's 26 others that have a hope today that they're going to win this race, including the 3 most recent winners here at Talladega.
Yeah, last year Timothy Peters won here from the 24th position, and that was his 3rd win here at Talladega. He's always a threat in one of these races.
I like Grant Enfinger. He's got nothing to lose, right? He's won here at Talladega. And Johnny Sauter, he's a restrictor plate king. He can get it done on the big tracks. I would watch him as well.
How about the championship standings one more time before we get ready to roll? You see that Brett Moffitt has a 23-point advantage, but the next 5 are separated by just 15 points heading into this race here this afternoon. They call it a wild card for a reason.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command to start the engines, please welcome United States Air Force Master Sergeant Andrew W. Hale with Mark Ramsey and Digger Maines from the hit TV show Moonshiners. Drivers, start your engines!
Drivers. Some will do anything to win. Some just want to make it to the end. 6 know a championship is at stake.
When the playoffs started, 8 drivers had their eyes on championship glory. But after 3 races, the hopes of 2 title contenders have been reduced to ashes.
The smoke out of Enfinger's truck.
One of our championship hopefuls. Oh, my goodness. The 13 with problems.
The round of 6 starts at Talladega, where things can change in an instant.
We often refer to it as a wild card race. Emphasis on wild because it is Talladega. Talladega Superspeedway, the round of 6. 6 drivers still in the hunt for the championship. The first race of the round right here on this 2.66-mile tri-oval. It's a special place, isn't it, Mike?
Oh, it sure is. One of the coolest places in NASCAR to get a victory. And this place is daunting, even by the numbers. 2.66 miles in length. Look at that. 33 degrees of banking in the corners. That means 2, 3, even 4 wide racing. You're going to see that all around this racetrack, Phil.
Let's take a look at our race analysis here. You see this race is made up of 3 stages, 20, 20, and the final stage, 54 laps, 94 laps in all, 250 miles. You see our pit window somewhere between 32 and 34 laps. That means we will have a pit stop in that final stage. And Timothy Peters, as we mentioned before, won this race last year.
Well, starting lineup and the front row is the Truck Series in a nutshell. Matt Crafton making his 450th career start. On the pole, Tyler Ankrum making his 19th career start alongside.
Johnny Sauter, as you mentioned, always a threat here on one of these super speedways, really any racetrack, but especially here at Daytona and Talladega.
Shelton Creed's been on a nice row here lately, and there's Brett Moffitt, one of the guys that we will watch closely today, along with Stuart Friesen. I feel good about that 52 truck.
Yeah, Austin Wayne himself had a runner-up finish at Daytona a couple years ago.
There's Anthony Alfredo and Ben Rhodes. Ross Chastain, who we mentioned earlier, starting the furthest back of all our championship contenders. He starts 17th. Timothy Peters back in row 11, won this race a year ago.
See, Angela Ruck had a top 10 finish at Daytona earlier this year.
John Hunter Nemechek, another guy deep in the field that could race forward. Jordan Anderson's going to go to the rear for the start here, missed the driver's meeting. Jesse Iwuji back after a bad crash last time out.
Onboard cameras.
Why don't we ride along with Ross Chastain, a 3-time winner this year. He comes in this race 5 points above the cut line. You see Kansas, Gateway, and Pocono in 2019. He knows how to get it done. Michael, you mentioned he won an Xfinity race at Daytona, and he's going to be starting from the 17th spot. And we're going to ride along on that visor cam.
That's such a great view. I love that. Makes me want to be behind the wheel again. Let's go on board with Austin Hill. I mentioned earlier, Daytona winner, knows how to race these big tracks. And I like his starting position, 13th. I think it changes today. Maybe the first time all year a driver wins from outside that top 10.
Let's hear from some of our crew chiefs that will be on top of the pit boxes sweating it out today despite the very comfortable conditions at Talladega. Begin with Ali Cavada.
Vince, 18-year-old Tyler Ankrum is making his first ever start on a super speedway. I'm with his crew chief now, Kevin Bono Mannion. Tyler doesn't have experience to lean on, but he does have talent. What is he capable of today?
You know, it's just good to be here, starting on the front row. Capable of winning a race, you know, from everything we've seen him this year. You know, he's never seen Kentucky before, never seen Michigan before, and we led laps there, and you know, had a shot to win right there at the end. So and that's the closest drafting experience he's going to have to Talladega. So, you know, the goals are to get as many points, this being the first race of the second playoff to round of 6. So get as many points as possible through the first 2 stages and then go for it at the end.
A lot of learning to do, Hermie.
Well, Adam Fieldgould is a crew chief for Ross Chastain in the 45. Now, his strategy is always get to the front, but you start 17th. So how do we plan to get that done here in these first 20 laps?
Well, hopefully, you know, we can just be in the right lane on the start here, and we take off, and things fall into place, and we can get close to the front, and hopefully it's a drama-free race.
Jamie?
You guys mentioned it, Austin Hill. He's second in the points, but he starts 13th today. As crew chief Scott Zipadelli, those stage points, they're so important. How do you get up to the front and inside of that top 10?
I think it's going to come down to just staying on the bottom, hug the white, yellow line all day long, and try not to get suckered to go to the middle groove. So you can be third 1 minute and go up to the second groove and end up 15th or 18th or so. So our goal is to get as many stage points as we can for the United Rentals Toyota Tundra, and see where we are at the end. If we can win it, we'll win it.
Remember, he is the only playoff driver with the Superspeedway win, guys.
Well, we heard a very common theme there. Get as many stage points as we could get. That means that these first 20 laps here in stage 1, they're going to be full go.
I'm not sure I can agree with Phil Gould. He said he wants this race to be drama-free. I don't think that's going to happen.
Has that ever happened here?
You can tell by looking at him, he doesn't believe what he's saying. I mean, this is going to be a nutty race. And a lot of fans say, I don't want to hear about points. Well, in this case, you do. Because that means for 20 laps, these guys are going to be set full tilt on go. And then we're going to have a caution, re-rack them, and do it all over again. This stage game has changed how these racers go about running these big tracks. They can't afford to go to the back and hang out. You lose out on too many valuable points.
Well, and you talk about points, stage points, 10 points available in that first stage. And look at the drivers. I mean, 15 points cover drivers 2 through 6. So, I mean, 10 points can make a big difference, and that's just the first stage.
Yeah, without a doubt. You see Brett Moffitt, you think, wow, 23 points above the cut line, pretty comfortable. Hey, there's 60 points available in this race, 180 in this round. 23 points is not comfortable.
What about a couple of those guys, Crafton and Ankrum? They invited them to the round of 6, and you're already outside the cut line. Better go to work, boys.
Well, they're in a good position to do it, starting on the front row. We mentioned this is the first of 3 races in this round. Talladega, of course, the biggest track on the circuit. Then we go to Martinsville in a couple of weeks, a half mile, and we finish it up out west at ISM. I love the diversity of the racetracks here.
I think we could put about 14 Martinsvilles inside the infield here at this racetrack.
This place is so big, and you talk about the big ones sweeping more trucks into the crash, but when you go to Martinsville, any lap you can get contact, cut a tire, knock yourself off the lead lap, and finish outside the top 20. So drama is going to be big here, and then you won't relax any when you head to Martinsville either.
Yeah, we talk about Talladega being a wild card. I think a lot of people think Martinsville's just as much a wild card as Talladega.
Without a doubt here, and I just love how our playoffs lay out with the races that we have in each one of these rounds.
33-degree banking, you get a good idea of it right there as the trucks come through turn 4, getting ready to make their way down toward the start-finish line to begin this race, the opening race in the round of 6.
I almost thought Crafton might take that outside line with Johnny Sauter lined up right behind him. Maybe those 2 teammates push, but that just shows you how valuable the bottom is. Crafton wants to get to that yellow line, get a good push from behind. Everybody on that bottom line, first 6-8 trucks, they're going to be content just to roll right there. They think they can get a train going around the bottom, and the outside line can't keep up. We'll see if it plays out that way.
The trucks racing at Talladega for the 14th time. The opening race in the round of 6. It is green, and we are racing at Talladega. That's probably the most calm you're going to see it all day long right there.
And we're already 3 wide, about 2/3 of the way back.
And this is definitely the most calm I'm going to be all day long, because they're just now getting up to speed, and these guys will bump each other trying to push ahead to get momentum, and when those bumps go wrong, you you see a big crash, and they can happen anytime. It can happen on this first lap.
We saw in practice yesterday the Fords drafting together, the Toyotas drafting together, the Chevys drafting together. You don't have much of a choice today. You gotta go with who you happen to be around, regardless of the manufacturer.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you can work with your other teammates along manufacturers' lines, you will. But right now, you see that Toyota, the 18 of Harrison Burton, working with that Ford of Matt Crafton in the 88.
Crafton has never won on a super speedway. Today is 33rd super speedway start. And he never won a pole on a super speedway either. He did that earlier this afternoon in qualifying. And Harrison Burton right behind him, the 18-year-old.
You can see that nice run on the outside lane. A big push there from the Ford truck of Todd Gillen. That's going to give Sauter the momentum to get the lead. Wow.
Remember, you cannot lock on. You can bump draft, but you cannot lock on and push anybody.
Sauter to the front with his teammate Crafton right behind him. That's Todd Gilliland leading the outside row.
That was a heck of a push. A little bit more momentum than I expected.
Had a lot of energy behind that, didn't they?
Brett Moffitt there in the 24 truck behind Gilliland on the outside with Stuart Friesen behind him. Austin Wayne Self in the 22. Grant Enfinger, former winner here in the 98, fifth truck back on the outside.
Remember, we talk about it a lot. We haven't mentioned it yet, but the start-finish line is almost into turn one here. You go through the traditional tri-oval where you think the start-finish line is, and you have to keep on going. A lot of races have been decided between the tri-oval and the start-finish line.
I would keep my eyes on that Ford truck. I think the reason why Sauter was able to grab that lead like he did was because the Ford's so fast, gave him that push. But look, they're 3 wide and making headway up top. That's awesome.
Enfinger on the outside, making it 3 wide. How about that 17 of Ankrum, Alan?
Vince, we're going to see a lot of learning on the job for the 18-year-old right now. It's his first super speedway race. You can see how close he is to the truck in front of him, the 18 of Harrison Burton. They're telling him on the radio, though, you need to be closer to that 18. You need to get right up on his bumper. Michael, as a rookie, that's got to be one of the toughest things for a driver to learn.
Yeah, but I like playing around right now if I'm Ankrum. He needs to be on and off that gas. Maybe fall back a truck length and see how it pulls up. This is a great time for that young man to be learning the tendencies of what that truck will and won't do. If you're not going to school right now, even though he's riding around on the bottom, on the yellow line, following the truck ahead of him, he needs to be playing with the gas and looking around and understanding if he backs off how quickly he can close back in. This is a great position for that kid to be sitting in, running comfortably in the top 5, but in a great position to learn a lot right now.
How about the 2 veterans, Sauter and Crafton, leading the way, but then the youth behind them, the 18 of Harrison Burton, 19 years old. You've got Tyler Ankrum there. Cody Roball looks like he's got some problems down on the apron and heading to pit road. Angela Ruck already been on pit road with an issue here today. They had the hood up on her truck.
Yeah, if Cody's truck is not under power, I'm not sure that it will make it all the way back around to pit road.
You know, we talked about charging to the front. John Hunter Nemechek, that 8 truck just going by there from 27th to 8th in just 5 laps. That's a great push from that guy. And there you see the black truck. He goes up behind Brett Moffitt. They take to the top. Phil, I'm a little bit surprised with the moves I'm seeing made from these trucks around the top. Usually the bottom line is dominant. I'm not so much seeing that today.
Yeah, we saw Grant Enfinger lead that outside line up to the right at the even with the guy leading Johnny Sauter a few laps ago.
It didn't take John Hunter Nemechek long to get up there in the mix. He started 27th, and Mike, you said you were surprised at that poor qualifying effort from John Hunter, but obviously they've got some speed in that truck. He's already up inside the top 10.
Yeah, he's second there on that outside lane. He looks like he's itching to do something with Moffitt. Maybe pull a move, but man, they're already starting to push, and you can see the trucks wiggle. That's okay to a certain point, but if you get beside a truck, you wiggle into him, then the big one happens.
Sheldon Creed jumps up to the outside from that bottom lane up in front of teammate Brett Moffitt.
Remember, you talked about the Chevrolets working together. All the manufacturers got a good line of Chevrolets up top now, at least about 6 deep.
They're not making as good a ground as Sauter did when he had Gillen pushing him. That was a major run they caught.
To see if Moffitt can push his teammate Sheldon Creed up towards the front.
Sauter leads. Crafton is second, Hermie.
And Vince, I talked to Matt yesterday here at the racetrack. He's in that bright green 88 right there now. He is the only Thor Sport truck that advanced to the round of 6. But he's got 3 other teammates in this race today, and typically teammates can help at a place like Talladega. But I asked Matt, what can you expect from your teammates in the area of help? And he said, you know, we did not have a sit-down meeting or talk about teammates and those kind of things, but he expects, if given the opportunity, his teammates will help him get the job done today. ThorSport even brought in another fabricator to specialize in super speedway truck racing to improve all those trucks, and so far they're showing speed up front.
Yeah, new body build on both that 88 and the 13. And right now they are running 1-2. A couple of veterans leading the way, but we got a lot of racing left. Early laps at Talladega. Back at Talladega, and our first caution of the day. It involves the 18 of Harrison Burton. And boy, when you are racing at Talladega, you're bunched up, and that can create some issues.
Looks like these trucks just go on and get wadded up. You can see Matt Crafton, for some reason, maybe a little bit of bump from Burton, and Burton backs out. And Tyler Ankrum in the 17 was right on the back of Burton, and around he goes.
We saw that move by the outside line really had some momentum. You see, they've already pulled down in front there, and then they just got a little bit jumbled up. That probably cost that inside line some speed. And just a bit of a chain reaction situation here.
How about the view from Austin Hill's truck?
Man, you're just hoping that it goes the other way at that point. There was nothing Austin Hill could do, and Burton goes up the track. He rolled out of the gas, but then right back in it, knowing that he needed to clear the scene.
It's almost amazing that it involved just one vehicle.
It really is.
In that situation, it could have taken out Crafton. Ankrum was right behind Burton, and then you saw the view that Austin Hill had. Could have easily come back up the track and gotten into Austin Hill, a championship contender. Pit stops underway. Allen.
Tyler Ankrum coming into pit right now. They were going to put some fuel in it and make a small handling adjustment. Tyler Ankrum was complaining about it being just a bit too tight. They tried to tell him, look, loose means the truck is driving you. Tight means you can manage it, but they're making a small handling adjustment on the 17, Hermie.
Well, Alan, bad break and good break at the same time for the 45 of Ross Chastain. He came down pit road. He said on the radio he had a flat tire. He came down, they took 4 tires off, put 4 new ones on. The air was up in all 4 tires. Now they believe the issue was probably maybe some oil or debris on the racetrack. But 4 new tires for the 45, but all 4 tires that came off were, the air was correct. So still trying to diagnose the issue here for the 45.
One thing it will do to these drivers that made their way to pit road on this caution is they could now not stop at the end of stage 1 and have good track position for the end, make it all the way to the end of stage 2.
We saw that scary view from the perspective of Austin Hill. Jamie, what did he do during stop?
We spent a lot of time talking to his team, Scott Zipadelli, telling him that he was really happy with the way his truck is handling right now. He said it's actually handling a lot better than the trucks that are in front of him. He's actually having to lift a little bit just to avoid the traffic that is dancing around in front of him. So they're really happy once we get back to green.
Well, that's good news for Hill, and of course he stayed out, did not stop.
And it's been impressive the way this team has come on here late in the summer. I mean, just think of how that truck handled at Las Vegas. He could go anywhere on the racetrack, and it's handling good again here. You can see these trucks are jumping everywhere. I want a good handling truck.
Well, Scott Zipadelli knows how to put them together. It's the championship team. We'll go back to green when we come back. Well, you see the cleanup, and the trucks have stopped. There's some fluid down on the track, and that has created this issue and allow NASCAR to clean it up.
That very well could have led to the spin for Burton. We saw Crafton just slide up the racetrack, and when he did, Burton let off, got hit by Ankrum, and around he went. And you can see right in that area of the track is where the fluid is. So I'm thinking that might have led to that spin.
I love the fact that NASCAR put these trucks under the red flag here. As short as these stages are, we've already completed 12 laps. By the time we restart, we'll only have about 6-7 laps left.
Check this out, Phil. What do you see when we're going to hop on board with Austin Hill? Watch these trucks dance right here. See them all just, and then around goes Burt.
Yeah, that champion power equipment Ford right in front of him was sideways for sure, and he wasn't involved in the chain reaction bumping. So I think that was definitely something on the racetrack.
Mason Massey in the 33 truck has gone to the garage area, hearing maybe he could have had something to do with the leak.
Well, let's check in with our pit reporters, beginning with Jamie Howe.
Well, one thing that this red flag and the yellow before it has allowed the teams to do is really talk to their drivers, figure out how the trucks are running now that we are in the race conditions. And I was listening in with Brett Moffitt talking to Jerry Baxter. They're trying to decide when they're going to make that pit stop. What do? They now know how their truck's doing. He says it's drafting well, it's driving well. They have something that they can race with. It's going to be about getting those stage points and then getting all the way to the checkers with as little time on pit lane as possible. They're talking about all it. Alan?
Jamie, that was a perfect opening segment if you were to ask Stuart Friesen there in the 52 truck. He was hoping the top line would form and come together, saying he's handled a lot better on the outside lane, and all his Chevy teammates got together and were able to drive toward the front. His biggest issue is just being patient, he told me. He needs to be patient for this race. He's sitting there now in fourth. He can see the lead. We'll see how patient he remains, Hermie.
Well, Alan, the 88 team of Matt Crafton came into this race with a lot of confidence, despite the fact that they have not won since back at Eldora 2017. Really hard to believe. They feel great about their trucks from Martinsville, Phoenix, and potentially Homestead, but they need to score some points today. He started on the pole, as we saw, but trucks a little bit too loose, especially when he's trying to put wheel in it to keep it on the yellow line at the bottom of the racetrack. So they're looking forward to trying to salvage some points here, score some points, get to pit road, and snug that 88 up for the second stage.
You know, Vince, I think it's interesting. I talked to several crew chiefs, and the plan was to pit at the end of the stages and get no tires in that final run. But a couple of early cautions and the fact that they're under red flag right now, they're flipping through that playbook, trying to see if maybe there's a way to maximize points and maybe change away from that strategy. But if I'm Brett Moffitt running second, Stuart Friesen up in fourth, I can't pit. No. I got to stay out there and stick with my plan. But some of the other racers inside racing for the championship, like Ross Chastain, he could pit now and not pit at the end of the stage.
Well, remember, he already pitted. He pitted back on lot number 8, so he can make it to the end of the second stage without pitting.
Yeah, I thought the strategy was supposed to be real simple today.
It was, and then they threw that darn caution.
It's never simple. It's jumbled up, and we're only 8 laps into it. Hopefully green when we come back to Talladega.
The playoffs begin with the reigning series champion going to victory lane. Brett Moffitt wins at Bristol.
For the second straight race, Brett Moffitt wins at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Austin Hill wins in Las Vegas. Moving on to the round of 6, continuing his hopes for a NASCAR championship. And that brings us to our situation here today. Good look at Ross Chastain as we continue to sit under the red flag conditions because of the fluid that was put down on track. So we're just 12 laps completed here at Talladega with Creed out front, Moffitt, Nemechek, Friesen, and Austin Wayne Self in the top 5.
This is tough for a driver. You know, you get all geared up to throw the green flag. You're 3 wide. You're passing on the outside. You're making progress. You're in a rhythm. And then they throw the red flag, and you just got to painfully sit there. Yeah. And then you have to discuss possible changes of strategy and how that might play out. So these drivers, while it looks like they're just sitting there waiting to go, there's a lot going on in their world.
Mike, you'll be on Race Hub. Is that Monday night?
Yeah, I'm going to go break down this awesome truck race we're having the privilege to watch here today and join Adam and Shannon and everyone.
Now we get to listen on Radioactive, kind of the behind-the-scenes audio of the drivers during the race. How about if we had a Race Hub Radioactive? What would that sound like, you know, kind of behind the scenes during the commercial breaks there with you guys?
Well, I think you know Adam pretty well. There's a lot of energy, a lot of commentary, and Shannon, she fancies herself an impressionist. So she likes to do a little Dale Jr. Here and there, and different celebrities in the racing world. She does some nice impressions.
Well, we'll have to, maybe we'll get that on a Radioactive one of these days. Our Monster Energy Cup standings with Kyle Larson having that Big win at Dover last week.
I love what Larson did. He flipped a few of those guys' world around. You know, they weren't counting on a guy down lower in the standings to hop up there and get that victory. They were wanting Martin Truex to win another one if you're down on that cut line trying to get to the next round, and he put it on him.
I was around Kyle quite a bit this week, and he had a smile pasted on his face all week long.
And I know some of the short track fans of Kyle Larson took particular joy in seeing him do the burnout with the steering wheel out the window after that win last week as well. Trucks are rolling, and we'll go back to green when we come back. Back here at Talladega, the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. The opening race of the round of 6. We've been under red for 8 minutes and 19 seconds. The good news is the track is cleaned after that oil was put down, or fluid was put down. Pace truck is off, the green is waving, and we're back racing.
We have Chevrolets running in the first 5 positions right now. Johnny Sauter is the highest placed non-Chevy. You see him in that green and black truck on the outside.
That's a nice move by Creed. I'm sure his spotter said, hop up top. They got to run. He jumped up and took advantage of that.
Right in front of his teammate, Brett Moffitt. So he's getting some help from Moffitt. That's Creed leading the way. In fact, you've got 1, 2, 3 all out of the GMS stable, because there is the 52 of Stuart Friesen running third. And Johnny Sauter was taking a look on the bottom, and here's what Ross Chastain has to look at as he tries to make his way up from 18th.
Yeah, he's working that third group with Grant Enfinger. You see a little bit of sparks from underneath the 98 of Enfinger. There's Ben Rose, that 99 truck on the left. I think Tyler Ankem right now is side by side with Ross.
Man, if you're Ross Chastain, you're on that third row back about 20th position. That's a lot of trucks to look at. Bouncing around, getting those pushes and a little bit sideways, that'll get your attention.
He gave up on that outside line and jumped to the middle now. Now it's Todd Gillen. The 4 truck is up there with Grant Enfinger.
Got to be an uncomfortable position, too, doesn't it, for Chastain? I mean, not just because of the points that he's probably going to miss out on here in stage 1, but just where he is at. And we talked about that traffic that's around him.
Well, on the other end of the spectrum there, the 16 truck of Austin Hill, he restarted outside the top 10, and he's driven all the way up to the 7th position. So that's a nice restart for the 16 team. We talked to his crew chief, Scott Zipadelli, earlier, and they said they wanted to maximize stage points. Nice move on the restart to put him in a position to be in the top 10.
I was talking to Scott yesterday, and he said, hey, this truck doesn't qualify all that well. We don't expect it to be a threat for the pole, but we know it races well. It drives really good, by evidence of how he did at Daytona. Same exact truck he won Daytona with.
And you see him there. He pulled out of that lower line right up in front of Rhodes. Austin Hill saw the run that Rhodes had, wanted to take advantage of it, see if he can grab some more position.
And how about John Hunter Nemechek restarted third? He's now 16th. That's how quickly you can drop back. Jamie?
Go back to Sheldon Creed, who is leading the field right now under that red flag period. He was talking to his spotter, Derek Nealon, about doing the best job that he can do, not in terms of driving the truck and leading and getting as many points, but in terms of being a teammate and being a good team player, particularly in this draft when he's not leading the race. That's what they're trying to figure out. They have Brett Moffitt right behind him, who still wants to win this championship. Stuart Friesen in the same position back there as well. So he's trying to figure a lot of things out, which is a pretty big undertaking when you think about what his job is behind the wheel as well.
Well, and Sheldon Creed, in just his second full season for the most part in the truck series. I mean, he doesn't have that much truck experience at just 22 years old. But we have seen Creed show speed, that's for sure. But this is speed. Having speed just half the battle when you're racing at Talladega, especially under these conditions.
I think right now the GMS, look at the flap, the bed flap is open on Sheldon Creed's truck because of the turbulent air underneath that truck. But I think right now Chevrolet and GMS would be really happy if they could end this stage like this. 1, 2, 3, even though Sheldon Creed is not in the playoffs, if they could get 9 points for Brett Moffitt and 8 for Stuart Friesen, I think they'd be tickled to death.
You see Sheldon Creed, Brett Moffitt, and Stuart Friesen, 1, 2, 3. Friesen runs under the umbrella of GMS, technically Halmar Racing, but all prepared out of the GMS garage. How about that 4 wide?
Wow.
Remember, you cannot advance your position below that double yellow line.
What about that blue truck back in about the 7th position, the 68? Clay Greenfield, he's nudged his way up inside the top 10. He always has strong runs on these big tracks. We see him up front at Daytona and Talladega a lot. But today, it looks like he's special early in this race. He didn't wait around, hang out back. He went charging.
Remember how far back Ross Chastain was about 3 laps ago? Now here he is up solidly up in the top 10.
This is a little bit of something I didn't see coming. They've moved off the bottom. Up in the middle of the racetrack, and it seems to be working. Look how spread out they are. How many lanes this is opening up because of those front few trucks running up off the bottom.
And Matt Crafton has jumped to the outside with his teammate Johnny Sauter behind him. We'll see if Crafton can get up there here in this final lap of stage 1 and score some stage points.
Look at Chastain with a big push from Nemechek. He's inside the top 5. Look at that run.
Chastain's going to go by Friesen as well, or attempt to go by Friesen.
So Chastain challenging Friesen for 3rd. Austin Hill right there behind Friesen. It's the final lap here in stage 1. Sheldon Creed continues to lead with Brett Moffitt 2nd.
Chastain jumps to the outside.
But it's going to be Sheldon Creed with his 3rd stage win of the season. Watch Chastain make that move from the middle to the bottom, and here's what it looked like from his perspective.
I'm sure his spotter said, you have enough room in front of that 8 truck, and looks like he had his hands full there for a moment.
Big move.
Sheldon Creed, the 22-year-old from California. He's been on a roll. 5 straight top 6 finishes, and he wins the first stage today. Back at Talladega, well, if you can't find a good time in the infield here, you just can't find a good time.
You didn't go looking.
No,
if you can't find
it. Didn't put forth much effort.
You didn't want a good time if you couldn't find one.
Well, and sometimes that's the safest route.
Sometimes those fun times just fall right into your area. You can't help it.
Here's our stage 1 results, and of course those drivers in yellow are championship contenders.
4 of our 6 point contenders got stage points. The guys that started on the front row, Matt Crafton and Tyler Ankrum, outside the top 10, no stage points in stage 1.
Got to be particularly disappointing for those two, because both those teams, of course, as all of them did, talked about the significance of qualifying up front, because that puts you in a better position to get those stage points. They qualified up front, but got 0.
I've seen more coming and going during that first stage than I've seen at Talladega in the trucks in a long time.
Absolutely.
There was certainly Ross Chastain, I think, started outside the top 15 on that restart, drove all the way up into the 3rd position. And I'm going to be interested to see, I think we're going to see some varying strategies here. Guys that will stay out here and not come to pit road because they took advantage of those cautions earlier.
Ross really got a break when he came to pit road. It was actually under green, and that's when Harrison Burton spun, so he was able to stay on the lead lap then.
Well, sometimes those breaks, or misfortune, which it started out as misfortune for Chastain, but sometimes that misfortune turns into a good break. We saw that with Austin Hill at Las Vegas. They on that last pit stop.
See Ross shutting that engine off, saving gas. That makes me think that he's not coming to pit road, because again, he pitted back on lap number 8.
And you saw Chastain stay out. Meanwhile, the leader brings down a group, and that's Sheldon Creed. He's in front of Jamie.
And part of being the leader is you have the nice clean shot into your pit box. Your guys are able to get out, get ready. That's exactly what's happening right now. They asked him, are you happy with the truck? He said that he was. Left side tires only. Moving down to the number 24, Brett Moffitt. He also had a pretty clean shot into pit lane, taking those left side tires as well. Alan?
Mission accomplished for the 52 of Stuart Friesen on the bottom of your screen. Scored some stage points, dropped a few positions on that final lap of the stage, though. 2 left side tires for the 52.
Looked like Brett Moffitt won the battle off of pit road.
A lot of the talk among the crew chiefs were 2 lefts here, 2 lefts on the next stage break, or 2 rights on the next stage break, and then gas only in the final run. So looks like they're sticking pretty much true to their word.
Let's see if we can talk to Brett Moffitt, who finished 2nd that first stage. Hey, Brett Moffitt, Phil Parsons and the boys in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
I think there was some radio traffic.
Hey, Brett, Phil Parsons in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Nice job there in stage number 1. 9 points out of a possible 10. It looked like you guys, I know you worked hard yesterday with your Chevrolet teammates, and it looked like it really worked out for you.
Yes, sir. You know, we have the Chevrolet backing, and they all pulled us together to work together, and it's working out to this point. We have 3 really fast GMS Chevy Silverados also, so good stage for all of our guys, Sheldon and Friesen included, so hopefully we can keep it up.
All right, buddy, appreciate it. Keep it rolling.
That's Brett Moffitt, last year's series champion. We'll restart him with Ross Chastain up front. Well, Matt Crafton came to pit road, did not take tires on that stop, Hermie.
Yeah, Vince, very disappointing to not score any stage points for the 88. Truck was loose. They came in, as you said, no tires. They added fuel, added some wedge, and a lot of the conversation was that Matt said for the first time in a long time here at Talladega, sticking to the bottom has not been the right place for him. So he's been stalled out around the bottom. The top and the middle and the top has really been gaining more ground, according to Matt. We'll see if he changes his strategy as he needs to score some points big time in stage 2.
Well, the fact he didn't score any points in stage 1 really doubles down, I mean, on the need for points in stage 2, as Hermie said.
Yeah, I think he and Junior Joyner are going to be bitterly disappointed that they were not able to parlay that pole position start. There's Junior right there, far side of your screen. They weren't able to parlay that into some stage points, but maybe if they can get 10 here, get 9 or 10 here, and then have a great finish, they can overcome that.
Yeah, Junior was telling me that it seems like when they come to Talladega, they always just run the bottom and have to protect their line, but they felt like they had the truck where they could be on offense. They wanted to be on offense here at Talladega, but certainly didn't play out that way here in stage 1 for Crafton.
And we said it earlier, I was surprised by the fact that we're around the middle in the upper lane of the track, and I know these truckers were. You start up front, you get on the bottom, you stay there, nobody's going to pass you. That's not the case today.
Ross Chastain, the control vehicle, starts on the outside of row 1. Riley Herbst on the inside in the 51 truck. Stage 2 underway at Talladega.
Nice launch there by Ross. He's going to have the ability to choose which lane he likes. When he sees a little bit of momentum from Grant Enfinger on the top, he'll move up there.
He's going to try to manage that, try to stay in front of whichever line that has some energy. Sometimes it's really hard to do, especially in these trucks, because they can get a run so quickly.
And you wind up stuck in the middle and go straight to the back. That's a dangerous game to play.
Of course, our playoff drivers, our championship contenders with the yellow and gold background. As you look at our pylon, led by Ross Chastain on top, and there's a look out the rear of the Chastain truck.
We know that he knows how to do this because he did it to perfection at Daytona in July in the Xfinity race.
Boy, Johnny Sauter got out of line and had no one with him, and he went backwards.
Look at Matt Crafton. He's changed his game plan. Talked about just running the bottom. That didn't work. Let's go to the top. From outside the top 10, up fighting for a top 5 position right now.
Impressive run so far for Riley Herbst in that 51 truck. Of course, Rudy Fugle, the crew chief, 5th different driver in the last 5 races in that 51 machine. Herbst drove the 18 Xfinity car for Joe Gibbs Racing on the Superspeedway track. So even though he doesn't have a lot of Superspeedway experience in the truck, he has been in the Xfinity car for Gibbs this season.
And we mentioned during qualifying that this truck, we talk about our playoff contenders. This truck is still eligible for the playoffs as far as car owners go, or truck owners, excuse me. So Kyle Busch Motorsports is actually still in the playoffs as an owner, and that is with that 51 truck that Riley Herbst is driving.
Man, this is getting intense. These guys really see the movement there.
Enfinger got out of shape just a bit, ends up going to the bottom and going to the lead as Chastain moves up in front of Moffitt.
This is
a little bit of bump drafting on the bottom. Riley Herbst, you can do that. Look at Ben Rhodes maybe bumping Riley Herbst.
You can bump, but you can't lock into that rear bumper.
NASCAR watches this, monitors it closely. closely, too. They have cameras that they can see who's doing what. Don't go there.
Enfinger getting nudged by Riley Herbst. That could have been a disaster.
It's so close to a disaster, Vince. See some damage on that black truck in the middle.
A lot of damage. I'd say that probably happened from that chain reaction when Riley Herbst started to go to the inside of the 98 of Enfinger.
Is that Boyd?
Looks as it. I can't tell if it's.
Watch this wiggle from the 45 of Chastain as Enfinger gets right up on the back bumper.
You can see Ross just trying to take up both lanes and doesn't make the move down in front of Enfinger in time.
The 0-2 of Tyler Dipple bringing out the caution.
Looks like he got into the outside wall, obviously in the middle of some heavy traffic.
Now he's gotten into the inside wall.
Tyler Dipple involved in an accident at Daytona as well. The super speedways have not been his friend. Was running 19th at the time.
You know there was contact from another truck that started this. Now whether it was the other trucks or Dipple's fault, we'll try to get a better look and make that call.
Like maybe Timothy Peters in that 87 gave Dipple a nudge.
Got together, but I don't know if Dipple was coming down or Peters was going up.
Or Peters was trying to help him. It could have been a situation that he was just trying to help him do a little bump drafting, and it went awry. We talked about damage on one of those trucks that was a black truck. It's the 8 truck of John Hunter Nemechek that has a lot of damage to the front end of that truck as we see Dipple again into the outside wall.
So unfortunate for Tyler Dipple. Dipple is one of those that had the engine expire at Las Vegas as well. So a couple of tough ones back to back for Tyler Dipple, a 19-year-old from New York. And they're going to put that on the hook and take it to the garage. Halfway through stage 2 here at Talladega. Sheldon Creed won the opening stage, and right now Creed finds himself back in 11th.
What about 5 of our top 6 racers are part of the playoff story, so the cream is rising.
Led by that man, Brett Moffitt, last year's series champion. Switch teams, but trying to go back-to-back with another title. Back here at Talladega, John Hunter Nemechek done for the day, and that's a shame too. Nemechek started 27th, had run up inside the top 5, but ends up, watch this damage here on the back of the 2 truck. There's the 8 of Nemechek, and when they all stack up, Nemechek has nowhere to go.
That's a hard shot. It's amazing that Sheldon Creed was able to hold on to that truck. I think that was a situation when the 98 of Grant Enfinger came off the bottom a little bit, and Riley Herbst tried to stick his nose in there, and it got the field seized up. And again, the farther back you are, the more vulnerable you are, and that's what happened to John Hunter.
The 17 of Tyler Ankrum came to pit road during this caution as well, Alan.
Yeah, 4 tires and a handling adjustment for Tyler Ankrum. I just talked to his crew chief, Kevin Bono Mannion, said, look, Tyler is learning out there as we go. We would gain some position and then lose some track position. So ultimately, they just want them to be ready and have the least amount of time for a green flag pit stop, perhaps later in this race. So they said, why not come down during caution, get 4 now, make an adjustment, and hope for the best toward the end, Hermie.
Well, Alan, we saw Ross Chastain battling for the lead a couple laps ago. He's shuffled back a little bit, a few positions before this next restart. However, talking to him yesterday, he's the only driver that really seemed like he was completely comfortable being totally aggressive this entire day. He said the reason why is because I feel like with our program, we can win Martinsville and we can win Phoenix. So very confident in the races coming up. So he plans to be very aggressive for the rest of this day, Jamie.
Well, for Johnny Sauter in the number 13 machine, he's currently 13th on the racetrack right now. What they're thinking for the rest of the stage is they really need some track position. The problem right now for Johnny is he has a little bit of a distraction. The truck won't idle, the engine won't idle below 6,000. They're not sure what's wrong with it. They don't know what's causing that to happen, and it shouldn't hurt him too bad. But like I said, it is distracting Johnny. So when he's trying to get through the traffic, gain some position, he has something else to deal with.
Well, Johnny, of course, former winner here at Talladega, former series champion. so disappointed as well at the way his championship hopes ended at Las Vegas with the engine letting go early in that race, and doesn't diminish his desire to win, though, just because he's not racing for the championship. You won't find anyone that wants to get after it any more than Johnny Sauter.
Yeah, I don't think there's a harder racer out there than Johnny Sauter. Comes from a racing family and has been like that ever since he came on the scene.
Maybe John Force.
How about John Force? The
second the points, right?
Man, four races to go, and
he's young. I mean, he's relatively young.
Compared to you, he is. I mean, he hasn't quite caught up with you yet.
That's not nice, man.
Phil, you put yourself out there.
I know.
You tee him up, Phil.
Love the NHRA on Fox. Such exciting racing.
Well, Matt Crafton sits on the front row for this restart, and Crafton started on the pole for this race but did not score any stage points in that first stage, and we've talked about how that just simply ramps up the significance of this second stage for Crafton. At least he's in position as you see the 8 being pushed behind the wall.
You know, that's a veteran move there for Crafton, Phil. He had, the plan was, the playbook said, we're going to run the bottom of the racetrack. Well, that didn't work, so he hopped up to the top side, and now he's put himself in a position to be right back up on the front row where he started. So be interesting to see how these guys adapt and adjust to that difference. They haven't seen the middle to top be as successful ever here at Talladega as it is today for whatever reason.
5 of the 6 championship hopefuls are in the top 6, and then you've got Tyler Ankrum, who came to pit road for the adjustments, as Alan mentioned, and Ankrum will restart much further back in 26th, but a lot of racing to go. And for Ankrum, as his crew chief Bono Mannion has said, it's his first time. There's a lot of learning going on right now, and really for Ankrum, if he can survive and then be in position at the end, that's what counts most.
How's the 18-year-old feel right now, Phil, as he looks up through all those trucks he needs to get through to get up toward the front?
He says, I'm way back.
Pace truck is off. Brett Moffitt on the outside. Matt Crafton on the inside. 6 to go in stage 2 at Talladega when they cross the line and the green is out.
Moffitt has his teammate Stuart Friesen lined up right with him.
Friesen has to be careful not to lock those bumpers. It's been really close. We're going to have them close. That's what they do. They bump, they push, they just can't lock.
Moffitt getting that help from Friesen. Crafton right there with him, and Austin Hill is on the bumper of the 88.
Austin doing a nice job pushing Matt Crafton.
Todd Gilliland up there in the mix in that 4 truck. Gus Dean behind Gilliland in the 12. Good run for Gus.
Grant Enfinger, that yellow and black truck lined up right behind Ross Chastain, 4th in line on the outside.
Not much movement still side by side as they've come around. 5 now remaining in stage 2. Friesen trying to help his teammate Moffitt. Crafton meanwhile shifts up to the top lane.
Now Crafton can try to manage both lanes, see who has the energy, and see if he can put the block on him. A little bit of a bump right there from Brett Moffitt.
You can see how precise these guys are. We see Moffitt into the back of Crafton, but he's able to bounce off of him. Doesn't lock bumpers. Oh, wow, look at that mess. They're going to go 3 wide. Stuart Friesen up the middle.
With Ross Chastain, that could really hurt them. You see Stuart Friesen trying to side draft off of Gus Dean in the 12 truck.
And Austin Hill with some help from Gilliland. Meanwhile, Crafton on the outside by himself.
And look at Moffitt. He's losing ground up on the top.
Friesen jumps to the outside, going to try to go around Crafton.
Friesen looking for some help. Is he going to get it from Moffitt? Moffitt, his teammate, comes outside to give him a hand, and Timothy Peters in the 87 with a run on the bottom.
And that's Johnny Sauter to his left, right in front of him, that 13 truck.
Look at that huge run for Friesen up top. He's going to get blocked everywhere off by Gilliland. Gilliland pulls up.
Friesen looked to go to the middle, but Gus Dean was there, and Well, that was close.
Austin Hill doing a great job. Has Riley Herbst lined up on his rear bumper. With 3 to go in the stage.
You know, Phil, it's funny. I said a bit ago, for whatever reason the top lane's working. You can't see air, or most people can't. So it's hard to understand why it's so different today. Same trucks as a year ago. But, man, they've learned how to use this whole racetrack today.
Friesen got to the outside of Todd Gillen. Now Todd Gillen's in the middle by himself. Clay Greenfield may pull up to help him.
Meanwhile, Austin Hill continues to look for his opportunities as he leads through the corner. Hill, of course, the winner in the season opener the last time we were on a super speedway at Daytona, and he is out front trying to hold on to the lead with just 3 to go here in stage 2.
Grant Enfiger's going to come to pit road. A strategy call for him right there. That'll get him some track position.
Meanwhile, Friesen gets the push from Moffitt to go to the front, and Hill loses a couple of positions. Riley Herbst behind Hill on the bottom lane. Jamie.
And it's right side tires for Grant Enfinger. They were the first one that made that stop early on in the race. Now having to come in just at the closing stages of this one.
Remember, no longer in the playoffs. He doesn't have to worry about stage points. Good strategy called by Jeff Hensley. That'll get him some track position at the end of this stage.
Friesen and Moffitt, 1-2. Inside of 2 to go here in this stage. Austin Wayne Self running in 3rd.
It was one of the guys that really helped that Chevrolet bunch at the end of that first stage move up into the top 5. Doing a great job here. How about Tyler Ankrum now? He's back there in the 6th position after making a pit stop on our last caution.
Yeah, it didn't take Ankrum long. Remember, we talked about him restarting back in the 20s, and he is now inside the top 5, or just outside it in 6th.
We talked at the beginning of the race where Ankrum was running there in line learning. He's putting those lessons to good use, what he learned early, and drove up through the field and now fighting up inside the top 10.
Final lap here in stage 2.
As look at Matt Crafton right now, maybe on the tail end of the top 10, losing a position he may not get stage points again.
Wow, Crafton didn't get any stage points in stage 1, and he is getting shuffled outside the top 10 now. And Stuart Friesen takes the green and white checkers, his 3rd stage win of the season.
Nice job by Ankrum finishing 6th, and Matt Crafton will get 1 stage point by finishing 10th.
Crazy racing to end the stage. Imagine what it's going to be like at the end of the race. Stuart Friesen like to be up front then too. We got a lot of college football fans here in
there's Auburn, LSU, Memphis. Probably there might be an Alabama fan or two, I would think, in the infield. Do you think?
I would imagine they wouldn't be hard to find.
If Larry Mack's in the infield, he's certainly a Alabama fan.
And he is. A little Ohio State, a Kansas State representation.
Fall's in the air, isn't it? College football. Racing at Talladega.
I don't mind Kansas State.
Points earned today. Been a good day for Brett Moffitt, Stuart Friesen.
Yeah, the GMS teammates 1, 2, 3. They're Sheldon Creed, 2nd most points earned.
That's huge for his playoffs.
The name you don't see on that list, an equally big story, and that's Matt Crafton, a championship hopeful, has scored just 1 point today after starting from the pole.
Especially where he started up front.
Yeah,
he had his eyes on a lot of points, and then restarted that last restart on the front row and wasn't able to parlay it into anything.
So pit stops coming up here at the end of stage 2. Brett Moffitt, you see up top. We'll check in with Jamie first.
And the reminder came to Brett, do not slide those tires as you come in. We're taking right side only. The biggest concern he had was he needs some water. So the team was up on the wall, 2 water bottles to give him a clean off windshield as well. Alan?
Big stage win for the 52 Stuart Friesen in the middle of your screen. A lot of confidence down here. They took 2 lefts on the first stop, 2 rights on this stop in fuel, Hermie.
Austin Wayne Self, best finish 12th so far at Talladega, looking to improve on that. 2 right side tires. They love their balance. The 88 truck, it'll be 4 tires in fuel for Crafton. Still trying to tighten that truck up from it.
Tyler Ankrum will win the battle off pit road, but Grant Enfinger, as we suspected, it did stay out on the racetrack after pitting with 3 laps to go in the stage.
The final stage coming up. Boy, a lot of racing left. You can imagine all the things that are going to happen down the stretch here at Talladega.
The round of 6 starts at Talladega, where things can change in an instant.
Coming up on the final stage here at Talladega, Grant Enfinger and Tyler Ankrum will restart on the front row. That's Enfinger in the yellow truck on the outside. And saw Stuart Friesen come to pit road just a few moments ago, and then a long conversation between his crew chief Trip Bruce and a NASCAR official about the flap on the bed of the truck that was up.
That flap's designed to get air from out underneath the truck, so when it spins, it doesn't fly up in the air. And Stewart's flap was hung up. It has to be operational. It has to be able to open and close. They can't tape it down. You can see when he stops in his pit.
Yeah, Tripp may have been asking, hey, can we tape it down? And the NASCAR official said, no, it has to be operational. It's not a penalty for it to be up like it was when he came to pit road. Alan?
And you guys are exactly right, and that's kind of the predicament that Trip Bruce kind of finds himself in, at least explaining it to NASCAR officials. The official came down and said, hey, we don't want to see that pop up again, but Trip Bruce was trying to explain to him, what can we do? We can't tape it down. It's installed as you tell us to install it. So it's kind of unclear what happens if it does pop up again. The NASCAR official couldn't give a clear and complete answer. Trip Bruce hoping not to hear from NASCAR again. Not sure what the answer will be.
You know, Trip was arguing with the official, like, we can't test everything. We can't test exactly what it's like to be at a huge pack. During practice, we had no deal it was going to flop up, and as long as it closes back down, I don't think it should be a problem.
Even if it stays up, I don't think it's an issue, because again, it has to open if a truck gets sideways to try to evacuate the air, Michael, as you were talking about. The team doesn't want it to be up, but it should not result in a penalty if it is up.
Alan makes a good point, though. The last thing a crew chief of a championship contender wants to see is a NASCAR official in his pit box.
It sounded like Tripp was trying to keep it lighthearted too, all the time thinking, I got to keep this guy on my side. I don't want him to turn on me. There you see the Halmar number 52 team.
What a great job Stewart's done today. 16 points earned through 2 stages.
Right up there on the second row for this restart on the outside.
Friesen with just 1 career win. Got it earlier this season at Eldora. Big week for him. Super Dirt Week as well. And he'll be headed back to get in the dirt car after the truck race here today. Final stage is underway at Talladega. The green begins to wave and the RPMs will begin to pick up. Tyler Ankrum on the inside, Grant Enfinger on the outside.
Look at that push from Friesen.
Enfinger to the point. Ankrum on the bottom. That's Friesen on the outside lane. With Brett Moffitt right behind him.
Yeah, Brett will give him a good push. Look at that block by Enfinger, but it's not going to work. I talked about that being a dangerous game. Watch all the positions he loses because he didn't time that block properly.
And it's so much harder with a truck than I think it is a car because they close so fast.
Wow, like an anchor. Look at Enfinger continue to drop.
That's why I don't really like playing that game in the trucks. I just feel like it's too difficult to judge when you're going to move up.
They're all wound up. Finally got those RPMs where they need to be to go racing, and we'll crank it up at Talladega. in fact.
Oh, man.
Chastain, and that's Brennan Poole right behind him in the 30 truck trying to give the 45 a little help.
And inside him was Sheldon Creed in the 2. He had a pit penalty there, had to go to the back. He's already fought his way up in the middle of the action.
See teammates working again, middle of the racetrack, the 52 of Freeze and the 24 Moffitt.
Well, we've seen that combination a lot today. I've got to believe those two are very comfortable with one another. If they could just take that right to the finish.
Some Toyotas lined up on the inside with Ankrum leading that group. Harrison Burton, remember, he had a spin earlier and went a lap down, got the lap back. There he is battling for the second spot right now in that 18 truck.
Yeah, that was back on lap 8. Burton spun, got a little help as the field bunched up, and fortunately for Harrison, didn't make any wall contact, didn't hit anything, and put some new tires on it, and he is indeed back in the mix.
Anthony Alfredo doing a nice job right behind Harrison Burton in that 15 truck for DGR Crosley.
Just look at those trucks moving around, though, man. That's just nervous. It's going to result in contact and a big crash, but they've done a great job so far.
On board with Austin Hill. He's on the top, and you see he doesn't have much help because everybody going by him on the inside.
That's when you regroup, Vince. All right, I'll go to the back and march my way back up through there, and you can see he got down in the middle lane, gave him a nice surge of momentum.
Little pull.
Yeah, up to the top he goes.
Brennan Poole, that 30 truck right in front of him. He's had a runner-up finish here in an Xfinity race a few years ago.
I was listening to the radio communication with Austin Hill early on in the race. It's everything that you guys talked about. They expected that low lane to be the one to be in. It was not, so they've had to move to the high side, but the message just came down that there's been a little bit of a resurgence on the low side of the racetrack. So to try and make your way back down there, he said, I'm sorry that I haven't been able to fight as hard as I could. Team said, you're doing a great job. You just keep doing what you're doing. Alan?
Let's give a quick shout out to the 87 of Timothy Peters on the bottom lane behind those youngsters in the Toyota. Timothy Peters, this ride just came together on Monday. He found out he'd be racing this race here in Talladega. Let's remember, he has 3 wins here, including the race last year. They're actually on a strategy call. He pitted with 1 to go to get fuel. They plan on pitting 1 more time for fuel only and seeing how this race plays out, Hermie.
Alan, very impressed today with that 18 truck. That's Harrison Burton. First Talladega start in the trucks today. And these guys obviously not racing for a championship, but Mike Hillman Jr. told me yesterday that he is so impressed at Harrison Burton, how he's continued to learn, continue to be engaged, continue to work hard for this race team to still try to get a win and some momentum for this race team right now, doing a great job up in the top 5.
Yeah, Burton in the 18 and his teammate Todd Gilliland in the 4, both still searching for their first career win in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. And a nice run, as you mentioned a few moments ago, Anthony Alfredo right behind them in the 15. Alfredo's a student, a college student at University of North Carolina, Charlotte. He had to take a physics test online last night, and sometimes the responsibilities never end. You take care of some schoolwork and then come out here and take care of this kind of work.
This test might be a little bit harder today than that physics test.
He's applying some of those lessons,
He is, for sure.
The 52 of Friesen and the 24 of Brett Moffitt.
They were locking bumpers.
Yeah.
Vince, and they're going to be called to pit road. Let's hope they can get out of line here.
Get way out of the way. Pull way to the inside, below the double yellow line, because this is a tough situation, as long as everyone behind them knows. Great job by those two.
And you saw them waving in the windows to let the drivers behind them know that they have to pull out a line, and they are indeed coming to pit road to serve this penalty. This is big.
We talked that NASCAR constantly monitors whether they're locked together or not. They made the call that those two were. I saw them bouncing back and forth, but we can't see every inch of the racetrack. NASCAR can via their cameras, and they made that call.
And watch it here, and a look at the 24 behind the 52.
I see some bumping there. I haven't seen a lock on yet.
That's not locked.
That's not locked. I haven't seen it yet.
Maybe it was a different part of the track, because that's perfect. That's a perfect job by Moffitt there, pushing and bouncing off one another. We've seen in the Monster Energy Cup Series, those guys basically perfect ping-ponging down the back straightaway, and that's what that was.
And they don't necessarily get a warning either. It's like Brad Moran, who runs the series, says they know the rules. We don't have to warn them. We can just penalize them. They may get a warning, they may not. But no question, Moffitt and Friesen being penalized. Back here at Talladega, 38 laps remaining, and a little bit of controversy involving the two trucks that were out front. Brett Moffitt and Stuart Friesen. You see Moffitt in the 24, Friesen in the 52. They both had to come down pit road and serve a penalty for locking bumpers, and I got to believe at this stage they're not too happy about it, are they, Jamie?
No, there certainly are not. I was listening into the communication with Brett Moffitt in particular, and he said there is no way that they had their bumpers locked together. He said he was doing everything he was supposed to do, but he did make the call down pit lane. We saw him serve that penalty. His team said, it's okay, put your head down. There's a lot of racing left. He's done that, at least audibly on the radio. He has quit complaining, and he's just going to finish out this race.
Well, there's nothing you can do about it now. I mean, it's not as if NASCAR is going to change their mind whether or not you agree with it or not. You have to take the penalty and just make the best of it. As you see Moffitt's crew chief Jerry Baxter there on the right side of the screen, but they're a long way away. In danger of being lapped here?
Certainly. They're certainly, if another 10-15 laps under green, they're losing over a second a lap. They'll go a lap down. The only thing they can do for strategy at this moment is hope for a caution. The caution flag flies, and they're able to pack up, get back in a group, and in the draft they can overcome this. But from the video that we saw, and I understand the rule clearly, that was just a perfect job of bump drafting, and if that was the video, I don't agree with the call.
You see our playoff standings there on the bottom left-hand portion of the screen, with Friesen and Crafton currently on the outside looking in. The only one of our championship contenders in the top 10 is the race leader, Tyler Ankrum.
What the heck happened, Vince? Yeah. 5 of the top 6 were at the front at the end of that second stage, and now they've all met some issues.
Yeah, you've got Hill there in 13th, Chastain 15th, Crafton back in 20th, and then of course Friesen and Moffitt, who have had to serve that penalty.
Can you hear how much that Ross Chastain is out of the throttle when he runs up? That's the 44 of Angela Ruck. When he gets close to her, he has to back off the throttle, has to feather the throttle. Really have to modulate that throttle. He has the 30 of Brendan Poole on his outside. There he is there pedaling the throttle just a little bit, trying to maintain that same gap to the 44 of Angela Ruck.
We're in the middle of our longest, I don't know if we're in the middle of it or not, but we're currently on our longest green flag run of the day. This thing has got to, even though they're side by side, and you can see a lot of crazy moves. Haven't seen a truck sideways lately.
Friesen and Moffitt certainly hope we're not in the middle of the longest green flag run. They'd love to see a caution right now.
They're going to have a caution. They're going to, I mean, it doesn't necessarily doesn't have to come before pit stops, but at some point before the end of this race, they're going to have a caution before they get a lap down to catch up to the field.
I'm just going to go ahead and say they will get one. You can't race like this. These trucks are hard to drive anyway. They bounce off each other. I don't see that happening. But right now, the only strategy that those two trucks have, Friesen and Moffitt, is hope, and that's hope for a caution.
18-year-old Tyler Ankrum leading the way, 19-year-old Harrison Burton right behind him on the bottom, and then here comes the veteran in the 41-year-old Johnny Sauter leading that outside line.
Making a nice move, too.
They're within a couple laps now of being able to be in their window to make it the rest of the way. Again, we can go 32, 34 laps. We have 33 laps to go right now, so I think it won't be long before we see some trucks coming to pit road. We're hearing that Matt Crafton may be getting ready to come to pit road, and you see that he's made his way towards the back of that pack. But we always have, it seems like we always have issues when a big group of trucks try to get to pit road.
I just don't understand that. These spotters and drivers need to communicate. You can run wide open here at Talladega all the way off turn 4. I would run wide open to off turn 4 and drive down on that apron. because you've got to get out of the traffic so that you don't get hit from behind.
You can go below the double yellow line to pit. There's no rule against that. I just get way out of the way. Brett Moffitt and Stuart Friesen did a really nice job when they were coming to pit road to serve their penalty. But what if you get 10, 12, 14 trucks all pitting at the same time? We see a lot of carnage when that happens often.
And my strategy, I like the strategy if I'm in this lead pack, I either want to pit before the big pack or after. I don't want to come to pit road with 20 trucks. They'll bog down your momentum. You can do a better job coming by yourself. Even though you're going to lose a little bit of time on the track by not being in the draft, when you return, it's still going to be faster overall.
Yeah, they're in their window now that they can make it the rest of the way, but they can still go probably another 10 laps before they have to come to pit road.
Yeah, but just because they're in the window, don't you want to build in a little pad for at the end? I mean,
without a doubt.
Daytona went 11 extra laps.
And secondarily, Vince, the longer you're on the racetrack, the shorter you can be on pit road, just getting enough gas to get to the finish. So there's a lot of strategy around this stop that's getting ready to be made. Just see who executes it flawlessly.
Right now, Johnny Sauter is executing it flawlessly. He's at the front with Tyler Ankrum right behind him. Harrison Burton sitting third, and then Gus Dean, that lead truck on the outside.
You know, Gus Dean is a former winner here in the ARCA Menard Series, so he knows how to get it done at this racetrack and doing a great job today.
Season best 13th place finish for Gus. In fact, that was his career best. Scored that at Michigan.
Sheldon Creed, that two-truck lined up right behind Gus Dean. They raced together in the ARCA Menard Series for a couple of years.
There you see a good shot of Gus from South Carolina. Doing a great job here today.
No room for error in this pack. And remember, Brett Moffitt and Stuart Friesen are well off of this pack. In fact, the pack is closing in on Moffitt and Friesen, who were penalized. You could see Moffitt and Friesen just ahead of the pack there. So there's Johnny Sauter, and he is the leader. Probably about a quarter of the way up. You have Friesen and Moffitt. Look how close.
Yeah, and those guys are charging toward them over a second a lap.
About 13 seconds ahead of this pack are Friesen and Moffitt.
Oh, got some damage. Is that? Here comes some trucks to pit road.
Sauter's coming.
Clay Greenfield not going to be able to. I don't think he got slowed down.
No, he
was lying. He was going to slow down at all. Jamie was Sauter.
And they made the message clear to Sauter. Make sure you stay left, so we've got plenty of room to get this gas in there. It's going to be fuel-only stop, and he's out, Hermie.
Todd Gilliland, Jamie in the Ford down pit road. They told him do not slide the tires. They put no tires. Fill him up with fuel. Also, Grant Enfinger down and away on pit road.
There goes Gilliland back to the track. Nice job by those guys getting down to the apron, not causing issue coming to pit road. We'll probably see another wave of pit stops this time by.
Big surprise, 68 of Clay Greenfield, too fast entering the pits.
I'm just glad he got somewhat slowed down at some point.
Tyler Ankrum looked hot coming in as well as Ankrum and Harrison Burton. Matt Crafton there in the neon yellow. Riley Herbst behind Crafton.
Angela Rook doing a nice job staying on the lead lap.
Alan?
And they're telling the 17 of Tyler Ankrum, do not slide your tires because they're going with a no tire call right now. That's by strategy. Tyler Ankrum on and off pit road.
Oh, and he's locked in by the 44 of Angela Rook, so loses a little bit of time. Harrison Burton got around him. Burton was pitted right behind Ankrum. And we thought that Ankrum looked a little hot coming in, and he is indeed being penalized, too fast entering. Leaves Gus Dean at the front of the pack.
How about that? Gus Dean leading. Sheldon Creed, who had a pit road penalties, up to second.
Here's Ross Chastain looking to make his final stop, and Austin Hill as well.
And it's fuel only for Austin Hill. They went ahead and came in because Ross Chastain in the number 45 was coming in as well. They wanted to stay on the same strategy. They told him to stay away from the wall. He did it, and he's out, Hermie.
It's going to be 8 seconds worth of fuel in the 45 truck for Ross Chastain, and he's away.
So with 27 to go, those drivers hoping that they are on pit road for the final time.
This pit stops during the green flag stop is not what, there's Ankrum serving his penalty, is not what Friesen and Moffitt needed to see. They needed to see that pack rubbing fenders and racing closely together. Since their only strategy is hope for a caution, there's another guy that's going to need one. Bono Mannion, after Tyler Ankrum made the mistake getting to pit road.
He may come out right with Brett Moffitt and Stuart Friesen after that penalty.
That's the pack leading the race, fronted by Gus Dean in the 12, then Sheldon Creed, Anthony Alfredo, and the 87 of Timothy Peters, last year's race winner here. And on the left-hand side of the screen, bottom portion, you see the points as they run right now in regards to our playoff drivers.
They can go another 5 laps or so. They last pitted on lap 43. They can go 32 laps or so. So they could go to probably lap 75 fairly comfortably, and that's 7 laps from now.
And that just means less time on pit road. The fact that there's not a big pack together, I think they can take advantage of that. Maybe they can get that draft out ahead of the others. Not seeing a lot of difference in the speeds among the top 20.
I know it's because of the pit stop. So let's watch this replay here on the right-hand side of the screen. The 45 of Chastain.
That's just trying to get in line. He didn't have the momentum because he just come off pit road and he wanted to block off those guys that were going to pass him. Made a very aggressive move doing so and got away with it.
And man, does that make you mad, though, if you're the 18 of Harrison Burton.
It makes you mad on 2 levels. We could have wrecked, and I shouldn't have let you by with that. There's some more of it.
Not as aggressive a driving as you can get. Now, how do we keep getting by without having a problem with this aggressive driving?
It's amazing. We have not seen more contact and cautions so far today. We just had that one caution earlier in regards to being caused by a vehicle getting out of shape, and that was Harrison Burton when he spun back on lap 8. View from the front of Austin Hill's machine, and that's Ross Chastain just ahead of him. Todd Gilliland on the outside. They're going around.
We still have 10 trucks that haven't come to pit road. So this lineup, these playoff racers and guys trying to pull the upset, there's still a lot of racing left to go and a lot of pit stops, a lot of differing flips and turns in this race.
Well, and here Stuart Friesen and Brett Moffitt, the 2 who were penalized, are on pit road. Jamie?
And in for a fuel-only stop. You also saw him pull a tear off of the front of that truck. Make sure there's clean vision in front for the number 24. The number 2, Sheldon Creed, also made a pit stop just in fuel only as he heads out. Alan?
The 52 of Stuart Friesen on and off pit road. They took fuel only, took a tear off, and put that flap down again like NASCAR was asking them to.
They will now be a lap down. But if the caution flies, I know our leaders will pit, and so that'll put them back on the lead lap, but still real precarious situation for these 2.
Yeah, they just have to have a caution sometime before the end of the race.
And Cody Robaugh has inherited the lead briefly as he now comes to pit road, and pouring salt in the wound of Stuart Friesen. Too fast entering.
And I saw he came to pit road with a big gap over Brett Moffitt. They were on the track together. I knew either Moffitt had botched the entry or Stewart came in too hot, and it was B.
So the second penalty for Friesen today. He and Moffitt penalized for locking bumpers. Bit of a controversial call. And now Friesen penalized for speeding on pit road.
There's going to be some more conversation about that locking on. You see right there.
Look at that gap.
Yeah.
You know Brett's not going to leave that much on the table. He's a champion. Stewart just came in a little fast.
Wow. Plenty of drama for this one. And we got plenty left to go. You won't miss a thing as we go to break. Going to keep on trucking. Back here at Talladega, under 20 to go. The Gander Outdoors Truck Series. It's the opening race in the round of 6. Martinsville and ISM Raceway to follow in this round, leading to the championship race at Homestead on November 15th. Right now, Johnny Sauter continues to lead. Grant Enfinger is ThorSport teammate running second. Couple of KBM trucks third and fourth with Harrison Burton and Riley Herbst. And then the first of our championship contenders, Ross Chastain, in fifth.
Yeah, they're getting ready to lap by Tyler Ankrum, who had to serve that penalty.
And this is getting tight in the backfield because there's Ankrum trying to slow down that line going by him. Then you're going to see, as we race down into turn 3, looking out of the back of Ross's truck, there's a couple, 3 trucks battling for the free pass, being in that position. There you can see Ankrum's going to lose positions to both Moffitt and Clay Greenfield, the Rockley Roofing number 68 truck. He is currently in the free pass position. Moffitt has been desperately trying to make his way around Greenfield. Hasn't made it yet. Will this move work?
And that's all he needs right now is to stay in that position, get around the 68 of Clay Greenfield, which he's not been able to do, and then ride it out, because he can't do anything to better his position other than be the first truck 1 lap down.
So he's battling with Greenfield, as you see there behind him. Ankrum has caught onto this draft, so he doesn't need to lose another spot. You see Ankrum's going to come below him. That's even going to make Moffitt's job tougher. Ankrum gives him a push. I don't think I'd have done that if I was Tyler. I'd have stayed right behind Crafton and put Brett behind me.
Yeah, Brett right now is desperately saying, please somebody help me get by. Maybe his teammate Sheldon Creed could jump up to the outside. There he goes right there, and maybe Brett can tuck it behind him and try to make some moves on the outside.
Moffitt, Ankrum, and Friesen, 3 championship contenders, all find themselves a lap down.
I think that was a teammate move by Sheldon Creed as he gets a little bit loose, trying to side draft Todd Gilliland.
And that move is going to work for the short term, as Moffitt's going to get around Greenfield. But what's it going to do to the front of this pack? They see this outside lane forming up. Who's going to be brave enough to jump up top and see if they can run all the way to the front with that outside lane?
How about those top 4 non-playoff guys? In the last 3 years at Talladega, we've had drivers who weren't in the championship mix win, and Johnny Sauter trying to make it 4 in a row.
This little threesome here has got Ross Chastain written all over it. I think Ross sees those guys make progress. He's going to jump up top, as does Austin Hill. He tries to block the move.
A little scattered, though, above that bottom line, and it didn't develop on the outside quite the way they had hoped. Our Gander Outdoors, 15 to go at Talladega.
Or they're really dancing around there right now, doing some blocking. See Austin Hill now. Brett Moffitt lined up behind Austin Hill. There's Clay Greenfield again. Pulls back ahead of Brett Moffitt to get in the free pass spot. See Brett bumping Austin Hill, trying to get him going.
And here comes Ankrum to the back of Moffitt. Some fast trucks there.
Remember, Moffitt and Ankrum both a lap down, but they're racing there with the lead pack.
Austin Hill messed up their momentum. He went up to block, and it split up that 3-truck train they had formed, and they haven't been able to recover from it yet.
Well, what a gaggle. And there's Matt Crafton in that neon 88. Crafton running 9th, scored just 1 point so far today. Didn't get any points despite starting from the pole. Didn't get any points in stage 1. Got 1 point with 10th place finish in stage 2. So the day certainly hasn't unfolded the way they anticipated.
Moffitt's been able to get by Clay Greenfield, and then he moved back down to the bottom of the racetrack. There he is at the tail end of that lead pack line. Remember, Stuart Friesen, because of that penalty, pitting, is now out of touch with his lead pack here. Caution's out.
And there is the caution.
That's what Brett Moffitt needed. Anthony Alfredo looks like he cut down the left rear tire. Now Brett Moffitt will get the free pass.
Boy, what a break for Moffitt.
But Friesen will be a lap down,
along with Tyler Ankrum.
So Brett Moffitt gets the free pass. Ankrum and Friesen, championship contenders, will continue racing a lap down. Both of them have. Friesen suffered 2 penalties, one for locking, penalized along with Moffitt for locking bumpers, and then Friesen was penalized for speeding, and Ankrum was penalized for speeding as well. But Moffitt gets back on the lead lap and will have a shot here with 13 to go.
What about CMR Roofing Construction? They got on that truck and all they do is lead races and get TV time.
And win most of the time with it.
1, 2 of them. I mean, just a great partnership for that 24 truck and that team.
Can't say enough about what Maury Gallagher and Mike Beam and all the guys there have put together. Such an outstanding team.
It's crazy, though. It's all falling apart in this race. They were right up front, 1, 2, 3. And now...
Well, that's a shame for Anthony Alfredo. He had a good day going. Done a nice job.
Might have been. I think the left rear tire went down, but it looked like there might have been some contact that maybe caused that. A lot of damage to that quarter panel.
He was running
about 15th at the time.
Up in the top 20 for sure, and that lost his. He lost a lap during that spin.
So Johnny Sauter and Grant Enfinger, the two drivers that were eliminated from the previous round of the playoffs, they currently run 1-2. And Harrison Burton, Riley Herbst, and Todd Gilliland, 3 trucks out of the KBM stable, fill out the top 5. Don't go anywhere. It'll be plenty exciting here to the finish. Back at Talladega, approaching 10 to go. And we've talked about some of the non-championship hopefuls that have come here to Talladega and won, including Johnny Sauter, Grant Enfinger, and Harrison Burton, all making their bid to win today. Enfinger was not a playoff driver when he won here at Talladega in 2016.
Remember, Harrison Burton won the Daytona ARCA Menard Series race this year.
Let's go downstairs.
And as the trucks roll past the front straightaway, Joe Shear Jr., you're on the radio with your driver, Johnny Sauter. 12 laps to go in this race. What do you guys have to do?
We got to get teammates to work with each other. We got fast trucks. It's all about teamwork here, and hopefully if we work together. I didn't really want to see that caution, but it's racing.
It's racing. We still have more of it, guys.
Well, and it so rarely unfolds exactly the way you hope it would.
He's probably not going to want to see the next one either. But I bet you it's coming. They're going to push. I mean, we've seen such aggressive racing all day long, and it's just going to continue to build up all the way to the checkered.
So Stuart Friesen back on pit road, but remember, he's a lap down.
The only chance that Stuart Friesen has is to get a free pass. Needs to get in position to get a free pass. He has several trucks that he'll be racing for that. Tyler Ankrum is one of those trucks.
And Anthony Alfredo, who's been fast all day long.
Clay Greenfield also.
Moffitt came back to pit road as well.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, nothing to lose.
Maybe get some fresh tires, see if there's any grip there, or fill it up with gas. That maybe will put that spoiler a little bit lower in the air in the back. I would consider all those things.
Absolutely.
Well, and puts the 52 and the 24 certainly in the same vicinity. And his teammates, you heard Joe Shear Jr. say that, having a teammate to work with you right now is going to be important.
Well, that truck right there needs to go forward to get past those trucks to get the free pass, and that's exactly where Brett Moffitt wants to go. So, Alan, I think these two are on the same page.
Yeah, differing strategies for the two playoff drivers, still a lap down. You're looking at the 52 of Stuart Friesen. They decided to come in and get 4 tires because they want the best possible situation to go get the lucky dog up there. So they want the 4 fresh ones. Meanwhile, the 17 of Tyler Ankrum also a lap down. He's currently in that free pass position, so they wanted to keep the track position and hope a quick caution comes out so they can get the free pass and get on the lead lap. So differing strategies there for the two playoff drivers.
I heard a lot of hope in that. And Mike, you have the famous saying, hope is not a strategy. Well, in this case, I think they're using it as a strategy.
I think it must be a strategy today because we've heard it enough. But just think about this. The battle we're going to see up at the front to try to win this race, be in a position to do that. But Ankrum, Alfredo, I mean, those guys, Friesen, theirs is desperate, or they're more desperate than the guys up front because they want to be ahead of one another when the caution falls.
Well, and what a special win it would be. They're all important, but if Johnny Sauter or Grant Enfinger, who are currently running 1-2, would happen to win today here at Talladega, it would be the 100th Truck Series win for Ford.
What a great history in the Truck Series. So much early success was with Jack Roush's organization in the Truck Series, and now Thor Sports carrying the Ford banner.
See Greg Biffle with 16 wins in a Ford. That's the most.
He won this year in a Toyota.
Yeah, he came back and said, I think I still got it.
He's an equal opportunity
That's
winner.
right.
Just put
That's
him in
right.
anything, he'll go.
Man, inside 10 to go. This is going to get wild.
It would not surprise me, like Tyler Ankram's hope for a quick caution. It would not surprise me to see a quick caution.
We're going to see one. I can promise you that.
Well, we haven't seen, as we're used to seeing at Talladega, the big one, and we certainly
Don't say that, Vince.
We haven't seen that today. No, I'm not jinx. I don't believe in that sort of thing.
Don't say it, Vince.
It's been a great race. I mean, these guys have been battling it out. We saw a green flag pit stop. We've seen playoff drivers make mistakes, but nobody is out of contention. They're all still fighting. Some's fight is more of a
desperation, maybe
uphill battle than others.
The lead driver in the championship chase, Ross Chastain, is positioned 6th. And Austin Hill 7th. Crafton is 9th.
What about that second row? Harrison Burton and Riley Herbst. Kyle Busch Motorsports drivers right there in a position to see if they can win a race.
Remember that 51 truck we talked about a few moments ago, racing for the Owners' Championship? If Riley Herbst could take that 51 truck to victory lane, that means he would have his free pass to Homestead for that 51 truck and race for a championship for the owner.
Christian Eckes scheduled to be in that car or in that truck at Martinsville and also at Homestead. Brandon Jones will be in the 51 at ISM. The restart here at Talladega. Johnny Sauter in front, 8 laps remaining.
Nice move there to get down in front of his teammate, Grant Enfinger.
I think his teammate said, come on over, buddy. Let's work together, like Joe Scheer Jr. said. But look at that big push Ross Chastain puts on Riley Herbst. And now they're going to go 4 wide off turn 2.
Oh, Sauter went up the block, and it ended up costing him a position as Grant Enfinger got past him on the inside, and Chastain got past on the outside. And look at Sauter drop. And Chastain is in the front now.
Remember I said earlier, that's a dangerous game when you try to move around and make all those blocks. You just can't do it in a truck. There's no way, because of the momentum the truck behind has, that you can make it work consistently.
Ross Chastain won in the Xfinity car at Daytona, and now he's out front on another super speedway in the truck. He's leading at Talladega.
And we know he's not afraid to block, and he will try to stall out the momentum of whichever line gets some energy going.
Yes, he will. He's not convinced I'm correct about that. He said, you don't think you can block Mike? Watch this.
That's Grant Enfinger right behind him in the yellow and black 98.
Pretty good pack lined up in the outside. Look at Stuart Friesen go. He's going by Ankrum now, following Johnny Sauter. He's got Moffitt right with him.
Well, a lot of energy in this pack. There's Brett Moffitt in the 24.
There it goes.
Oh, and there's a collection into the wall and through the grass on the bottom.
I would be shocked if it weren't Ross Chastain.
And there he is.
Trying to block like we talked about.
Timothy Peters.
And Timothy Peters involved.
Hard contact to the front of Timothy Peters' truck.
I think Stuart Friesen had got the best of Ankrum, Alfredo, and may be in that free pass position.
Brian Doza in the 28. Saw Natalie Decker in the 54. Ross Chastain. Boy, yeah, what a heartbreaker for Chastain to suffer that damage.
We'll see what happened, but has all the looks of trying to block gone wrong.
The trucks are going to be stopped in turn 3 while the repairs or the salvage is taken care of, as Clay Greenfield's truck, you see Chastain climbing out of his truck, and we saw that 68 of Clay Greenfield on track as well, or on pit road after some heavy damage.
Ross outside the truck surveying it. And man, what might have been, what a shuffle this is going to be for the playoff structure.
You're right, Phil. This flips everything. Puts Friesen back on the lead lap, I believe. Takes a guy that had a pretty good cushion and puts him right back on the bubble.
Yeah.
But Ross is a confident cat. You know, he's going to block. He's going to do everything he thinks it takes to win. If we don't win this week, we'll go get him next time in Martinsville.
Chastain was at the front along with Creed and Infinger. Todd Gilliland, Harrison Burton was in there as well, and Chastain trying to protect the lead, as you see his crew chief Phil Gould making that walk to the garage. And there he was, tried to come down, and I think Sheldon Creed was there. No fault of Creed's.
That's what we've been talking about. It's just impossible with the way these trucks pull up to get over in time, and Creed was committed.
And Infinger just got collected by Chastain as well. Watch it from the view of Austin Hill.
Well, what a nice job Austin Hill did to avoid that.
There it was.
It's a hard hit right there.
It happens so quickly. Sometimes that spot that's open, but by the time you actually go for it, it's not.
Well, Sheldon Creed was going through the middle. He was going to try to get underneath Ross Chastain, and Ross realized that and started to turn down to try to block that move, and there just wasn't time, Michael, as we've been talking about. Look at the hard
job by Natalie Decker. Check that out. She's going to maybe make just a little contact, but up on the racetrack, she was sideways and slid down the hill. I don't think there's much damage to that 54 truck.
Plenty of damage to that 45 of Ross Chastain, however. From the lead, Chastain will get put on the hook, and you see all those that were involved, although Sheldon Creed, I don't think, suffered much damage.
And he has the lead.
Yes. Maybe a little bit of wrinkle on the fender.
I'm sure there's going to be a difference of opinion as to what exactly happened there between Ross and Sheldon, because Ross was barely ahead of Sheldon when Sheldon pulled low, and Ross went down low, and there wasn't time to make that block. And I think that I don't see where Sheldon did anything wrong.
Well, we knew it was a matter of time, and that time has arrived. Ross Chastain from the lead in that crash and going to the hook and the garage. 6 to go at Talladega. You see the truck stop on the backstretch. 6 to go, currently under red. The Gander Outdoors Truck Series playoff race from Talladega. After our leader, Ross Chastain, was involved in an accident trying to protect his position.
Isn't that interesting, Vince, what you said? We say anything can happen to Talladega. The leader just crashed.
And this is what happened. And was Chastain, picked it up a little bit late there. I think the big question is, or that Chastain and Creed will be talking about, is was Creed in position before Chastain came down, or was Chastain already there?
Vince, he was running 5 miles an hour faster than Ross, and he moved to the middle. And when he moved to the middle, Ross comes down. And when he comes down right there, they make contact. It's clear to me that Ross tried to block again, like we've seen him do all day, and he just missed it. He misjudged it. I said before that happened, that's a dangerous game. You just put yourself in a position when you block for someone to hit you. If you're right there, he turns down and they make contact. I don't see how anybody could see that any differently. I welcome to your opinion, but that was just a blocking move on a superspeedway track that did not work out.
And it has been confirmed that Stuart Friesen will get the free pass, so he will be back in contention on the lead lap.
Wow. After 2 penalties, Friesen's still going to have a chance.
That's what superspeedway racing's all about in NASCAR. You can overcome adversity. You can fall behind and make it up and be in a position to stand in victory lane when you thought your day could end because of a couple of penalties.
Yeah, at one point, Moffitt and Friesen were both a lap down, and Moffitt is inside the top 10 now, and Friesen just getting back on the lead lap. And then there's Matt Crafton, who's the furthest up of all the championship contenders. He currently sits 5th.
Is he in the catbird seat?
Well, you might say he's in the catbird seat. We'll hear from his crew chief. He's with Hermie.
And what a day it's been for the 88. You guys started up front, but for the most of the race, you've had a loose truck and you've been in the wrong line pretty much all day on the draft. But fast forward to right now, and you guys have an opportunity to do something special here. So what does Matt need to do on this next restart?
He just needs to get in the right lane and get a little bit of help, I think. You know, it's just like you said, we've just been in the wrong lane all day, and nothing's really gone our way, which is typical speedway racing. I think all the playoff guys are kind of fighting against each other. You know, no one wants to help anybody, and kind of got shuffled out for stage points, so we need to make up for it right now, and we go win this thing and have a nice, easy 3 weeks.
Michael says you look like you sit up here in the catbird seat, like no stress, no drama, and got it made up here. So your thoughts to Michael up in the booth?
He knows me better than that. I'm not worried. I mean, I got the best 2 in the business out there. We just, you know, we need a little help from our teammates right here. I think the kid in the 99 is going to be a big asset right here. So I think Matt just needs to hold on and let's go.
There he is.
Well, Junior Joyner mentioned the 99. That's his teammate Ben Rhodes, who is right there with Crafton, and his other teammate Johnny Sauter.
That's right.
Sits there as well. So it's 3 Thor Sport trucks.
How good
4th,
is that
5th, and 6th.
Still, Phil, to look around and see what you're surrounded by. You don't have any friends on the racetrack generally, but this is your best chance to be with a couple of buddies.
It would be mighty comforting, I think.
And there is Rhodes in that 99. Jamie is with Ross Chastain.
Ross just came out of the in-care care center. He has not seen any of the replays, but now that you've been released, you've thought about what happened. What would you go back and change?
Oh, I'm not going to sit here and quarterback it back. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I turned left on him. Sorry to everybody that got taken out. My niece Motorsports boys and girls deserve better. The Car Shield Chevy was fast enough to go compete for the win, so that one's on me. I'm so glad we get to go on to Martinsville and Phoenix and redeem ourselves and go keep winning and press the attack.
How does this change the way you attack Martinsville now?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I will go try to win practice, try to win qualifying, try to win the race, and just go execute. That was poor execution on my part. Again, sorry to everybody involved, and we'll just go on and just go execute. That's my job, and that's what we're going to go do.
Ross Chastain taking on the blame, guys.
You saw that slogan there just ahead of his steering wheel inside his truck, press the attack. And Ross Chastain is always going to press the attack. But tip the cap to him as well for admitting it, calling it exactly the way it was. He made a mistake.
Yeah, you block and you open yourself up to being hit. And I don't even know if Sheldon Creek could have missed him if he tried. I mean, he was going so much faster than Ross when Ross hooked that left and around he went. That was clearly a mistake on Ross's part. And like you said, Vince, you just like a guy that can own up to what happened on the racetrack and say that, I'll get him next week. And he's the kind of cat that can do just that.
Without a doubt.
Go to Martinsville ISM and win them both and get this championship. But today, that blocking game bit him.
Right now they're parked, the 4 and the 2, and they will be on the front row when we restart. And both of those drivers happen to be looking for their first career win. Maybe she'll be smiling by the time we come back to Talladega. And right now, as you see, trucks parked under red for the second time today. The top 3 there, Todd Gilliland, Sheldon Creed, and Gus Dean, all looking for their first career wins. And they're going to be chased by a couple of champions in Matt Crafton and Johnny Sauter in the top 5.
Michael, I knew when Vince started talking about the big one that it's a bad sign.
Well, we knew it was coming. There's no way they can race like that and get away with it. Now look at the track, Vince, what you did.
Well, it's just going to make the finish so much more exciting.
It's just a mess.
Yeah.
And the cleanup, we had a lengthy cleanup. We had a 8-minute, 19-second red flag earlier in this race because of fluid put down on the track. And with this track being as big as it is, if you start putting fluid down and then continue around, it ends up making some some large mess that takes a while to get cleaned up, and this track is so wide it creates a lot of workspace.
Yeah, the safety 2 does such a nice job, though. The staff here at Talladega Superspeedway and the NASCAR officials, they get it done. When they go back rolling and they give them one to go, that racetrack will be ready.
Well, and how about this one? Todd Gilliland got the ARCA win here. Can he do it in the truck as well?
I think without a doubt he can. Did such a great job there holding off Riley Herbst in that 18 car, driving for his dad and Bola Mastis DGR Crosley team.
I mean, this kid has been so close to winning in the truck, and just heartbreak a couple of times. Got that big win at Talladega. Now he's in a position to do it again.
That's back downstairs to Hermie.
Well, Wes Ward is the crew chief for Todd Gilliland, and we've seen all year long the ups and the downs and the learning. But this kid has really worked hard the rest of the latter part of this season. You're in a good position right here. So after all that everybody's gone through this year, what would this win mean to you and certainly to Todd?
Well, it certainly will mean a lot for Todd. He's worked really hard. It's been unfortunate. He's had some wins he probably should have, but the team needs it as well. Kyle's won some races this year. We've won some races, but we really need this for the team. He's done an amazing job so far. His spotter, Kevin Hamlin himself, has done a really good job up to now. I'm not really sure this is going to be the final caution. I hope not, but we have a really good shot. He's done a really good job, so we just need to finish it off.
It's Wes Ward. He's the crew chief for Todd Gilliland. In the 4, he'll roll off second when we go back to green, Vince.
Well, good to see the trucks rolling. So that means the red obviously has been lifted, and we're getting closer to going green. If you've tuned in, it's 4 o'clock here in the East. If you've just tuned in looking for college football, Texas Tech and Baylor, it will start on FS2 and then switch here to FS1 as soon as we get done racing here at Talladega, and we are getting close to the end. Well, the laps are winding down, but we may be a long way from the end.
We are subject to go overtime. That's happened before.
I wonder if Sheldon Creed suffered any damage when you can see on the right front there's a hole in the nose. That'll certainly hurt him from leading this race. And then look at the back, some damage on the 2 truck. And that's got
the spoiler bent. One of the spoiler braces is broken there, Michael, on the right side. Almost looks like the spoiler is bent back a little bit,
and the
on the right rear.
Now that's damage from an accident. I don't know that NASCAR will make them repair that, but
how about? Well, I was going to say, how about the damage that we have seen and what kind of impact that might be? Jamie's with his crew chief.
And Jeff just walked back over here. You were talking to some other teams. We're talking about the damage to the back of that truck. What can you tell us?
The damage really hasn't affected us at all. It happened towards the beginning of the race. We were going to come in and fix it earlier, but we just didn't feel the need. We still had speed in the truck. It drafts good. So at this point, it is what it is on the damage. We're just trying to figure out a line situation right here. We got Thor Sport, 4 Toyotas, everybody behind us. So we don't have a whole lot of help right now. So hopefully it works out for us in the end, and we can work both lanes, get back to the state. I think we're going to take the top. Hopefully we can get back to the bottom and be able to work both lanes here at the end and not get wrecked.
I was listening to some of that communication between you and Sheldon about the lines. It sounded like he was going to have to stay in one place. How difficult is that for you guys sitting back here on the pit cart?
It's difficult, especially when we have no control over anything. But Sheldon's done a really good job. We had to start at the back one time with a penalty. He was able to make it back to the front. So he's doing a really good job. He's staying calm. He's staying patient. Just proud of everybody at GMS, everybody building fast trucks. So hopefully we can finish it out here.
Back for the finish at Talladega in just a moment. We're about to go green. There will be 3 to go when they cross the line. Who's going to win at Talladega? Sheldon Creed in the 2 truck, being pushed by the 4 of Todd Gilliland.
Remember, you can't lock on. We saw what happened when NASCAR deemed a couple trucks locking on. Look at Brett Moffitt coming on the outside.
Creed continues to lead. That's Sauter in the green that just went up to get in front of Moffitt. Sauter and Gilliland in a little bit of a breakaway, both seeking their first career win. Gus Dean runs in 3rd there on the bottom. And then it's Johnny Sauter, the first truck on the outside.
Stuart Friesen 3 wide in the back, and Johnny Sauter.
Look at Gus Dean going to the inside. He had his left sides down below the double yellow line, Michael.
I know, I think they were side by side first when he went there. Hope he doesn't get a penalty. Great run by that kid tonight.
2 laps to go. Sauter pulls up side by side now with Creed. Crafton trying to work the high line with his teammate Ben Rhodes. They're a little further back. Oh, and Gus Dean is going around.
Ooh, hard contact.
A big hit for Gus Dean, and the caution is out.
These trucks are so hard to handle, Phil, in a pack like that. If your truck just starts wandering up off the bottom at all, you can't turn the wheel enough once the air takes over to get it to go back toward the bottom. He just slipped up high. See the safety personnel running to his aid.
You hate that for Gus Dean. He had such a strong run going today. Was running 3rd at the time, and
I mean, it's as good as it had been for Gus, and unfortunately that's as bad as it could get.
As Wes Ward said, it probably wasn't the last caution that we were going to have. Tyler Ankrum will get the free pass, so puts another one of our playoff contenders back on the lead lap.
And he's starting, he'll restart about 14th, Phil, but that doesn't mean he can't finish in the top 5.
Well, because even though officially it says we have 3 laps to go, you never know how many we're going to end up running. Remember, we made a comment earlier, they ran 11 extra laps at Daytona in overtime this season to start the year.
We've run a number of caution laps, but remember, Johnny Sauter pitted back on lap number 65 as we see Gus Dean getting out of that truck. That's a good sign. So, you know, we've had enough caution laps that probably he has enough fuel, but he may have to stay on the bottom of the racetrack, maybe down the apron on the pace laps, so that fuel doesn't run away from the pickup, which is in the right rear corner of the fuel cell.
Looked like a little bit of a limp from Gus, but good to see him walk to the ambulance under his own power. He'll go to the medical center to be checked out, and his truck will be put on the hook. And this will officially be overtime here at Talladega.
The first overtime.
You're suggesting that there's a possibility that we may have more of this mayhem?
A very, very distinct possibility. Talk about the truck getting hard to drive. You can see how he's got a truck right on his back end, maybe a little bit of shove there, but I think that the front end was light on him. You know, he was already heading up that way, and that push into the back was just more than he could handle at that moment.
That's Gilliland in the 4.
See him kind of bouncing up the track, and then that push from Gilliland was just at the wrong place at the wrong time.
And Gilliland had nowhere to go either. He had someone on his back bumper, and boy, that's a
man, that's a frightening feeling, seeing that wall coming at that speed. Believe me, I know, I've hit a few of them.
Thank goodness for the safer barrier. Obviously, you see how much damage there is to that truck. Could have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah, and just think about Gus in that truck and his body absorbing all that impact and heading in a different direction that quickly. He'll be sore tomorrow, I can promise you.
They were just so tight. I mean, every truck seemed to be right on top of the other truck.
This will be the 3rd overtime race this season, as you see Tyler Ankrum has come to pit road getting some fuel, and Phil mentioned he gets the free pass with this caution, so Ankrum will go back on the lead lap. All of the championship contenders now on the lead lap that are still running. Ross Chastain involved in an accident earlier. In fact, Chastain was leading at the time with 6 laps remaining when he was involved in that, and he is out of the race.
Don't you want all that fuel in the back, Phil?
I think so.
Put that extra weight in the back, maybe.
Try to get that spoiler out of the air a little bit.
Lower that spoiler down just a bit. He's got to go for it. He's got at most 2 laps to get where he wants to go, but
I'm going to give you one more look here at this incident that brought out the yellow, and Gus Dean and the hard hit on that inside wall.
Remember back in Daytona, we saw the teammates of Todd Gilliland and the 18 of Harrison Burton running together, trying do a little bit of bump drafting. It turned Harrison into the outside wall as well as the 4 of Todd Gilliland. So that's what these guys try to do. I'm not sure that was the case where Todd was trying to bump draft, but everybody was so tight there. It looked like there might have been a little bit of contact from the back. But again, they all were so close together.
Harrison Burton finds himself in the 4th position for this overtime restart, and his teammate Gilliland right behind him. Well, this is anybody's race at this point. Sheldon Creed will restart on the front row, Jamie.
One thing that has come to the attention of some of the teams now that we're in overtime is how much fuel is in the car. If you remember, they stopped about 30 laps ago. You're talking about the fuel window, somewhere around 32, 34 laps. For Sheldon Creed in that number 2 truck, they told him as soon as they made that stop, there's his crew chief, Jeff Stankiewicz, they told him as soon as he left pit lane, make sure you start saving fuel now, just in case we get into any of these overtime situations. So they've been working on it for this entire fuel stint. They're telling the same now as we're out under caution.
Well, and might have plenty to finish if we just go to the finish right here, but you never know how many laps we're going to have to run in overtime. And just to refresh you on the overtime rules, we're going to take the green flag, and if they come around and take the white, the next flag, whether that's the checkered or the caution, would end the race.
Yes, lap 65 is when Johnny Sauter and Todd Gilliland both pitted. We've had 9 caution laps since then, so that should be enough to go at least this overtime, maybe even another short one, but they're the most vulnerable right now on fuel.
How about this? We've run overtime twice this season. Austin Hill's won them both.
How about that?
He's got a ways to go to get the 3rd one, but like we're at Talladega, I wouldn't count him out. What about our old buddy Brett Moffitt? Phil, he told us this week, he said, every stage is a race. I'm going to run 3 races on Saturday afternoon. I'm going to try to win them all. He's certainly been up front in a position to do just that. And now can he get the checkered flag? I like a man that tells you what he's going to do and then goes out and does it.
18 of a possible 20 stage points going in first 2 stages.
Well, we've run 3 playoff races this season. Moffitt's won 2 of them, so he certainly knows his way to victory lane. Let's see if he can do it again. He'll start on that inside lane, 2nd in line behind Johnny Sauter. The green flag waves. It's Sauter on the inside and Sheldon Creed on the outside.
Great launch by Brett there. Was able to give that push to Sauter and get him ahead of Creed, but here comes Creed on the outside.
Harrison Burton giving Creed the shove.
That 2 truck has been awfully strong this entire race. Nobody has any more experience than Johnny Sauter, though, on the inside of the racetrack.
Sauter, former series champion with 24 career wins. Sheldon Creed seeking his 1st career win.
How about Austin Hill?
Austin Hill from 8th on the restart on the outside line, trying to make it interesting down the stretch. Meanwhile, Moffitt has given Sauter a push, and Johnny Sauter is out front.
Let's see if they can get to the start-finish line to catch this white flag.
It's Sauter and Moffitt and Riley Herbst on the bottom.
Look at that big push Gilliland's given to the back of Burton. Moffitt's going to crowd him up.
The white flag is out. 1 lap remaining. The next flag, whether it's the caution or the checkers, will end it. And Sauter is in the lead. Riley Herbst is 2nd. Grant Enfinger 3rd on the bottom lane. Harrison Burton, the 1st truck on the outside line.
Look at Brett Moffitt's on the outside, jumped in behind Gilliland, trying to make something happen. Look at Grant Enfinger. Wasn't he in that wreck just a few laps ago?
Gilliland trying to get active on the outside, but it's Johnny Sauter out front with Riley Herbst right behind him.
I can't believe they're going to make it.
How about Stuart Friesen not running in the 4th spot?
Sauter trying to hold off the field. Johnny Sauter eliminated from the playoffs last week, but he's going to get it done at Talladega today. Johnny Sauter holding off the crowd and winning for the 2nd time at Talladega.
Boy, that was some pretty intense blocking by Sauter on Riley Herbst. Riley runs off the road because of the block by Sauter. NASCAR says in their judgment if you force a truck below the line by blocking them there, you could be black flagged. And below the line goes both those trucks. I don't know what the call will be there.
If they take this one away from Johnny Sauter, then I'm not sure that Spencer Boyd may be the guy.
That's Boyd in the white truck.
The white truck.
But I don't see where Herbst did anything wrong. He got blocked. He went below the line. He got blocked. And
certainly should be no penalty against Riley Herbst
at all. And it's just a judgment call of what they do to this 13 truck. He clearly blocked Herbst below the yellow line.
Johnny Sauter doing the burnout. We've not officially been told that Sauter is the winner, but Johnny certainly celebrating. We'll wait on the official call from NASCAR to make sure that there was no rule broken as he defended his position in regards to the yellow line. Johnny Sauter won at Dover, made the playoffs, and then last race at Las Vegas, his engine expired on lap 40, eliminating him from championship contention.
You got to give a shout out to Herbst though for that move. He figured out a way to get there. If Johnny Sauter wins this race, Riley Herbst certainly was doing everything he could to do just that same thing.
And this would be the 100th win for Ford, but again, just waiting. We want to be official in getting the official call from NASCAR as they review the finish. And remember, you can't advance your position by going down the yellow, below the double yellow line.
And he didn't. Riley Herbst did not advance his position. Look at Spencer Boyd, I think, comes across the line. He does, comes across the line in second place.
Yeah, he was the second place truck, and NASCAR is looking this finish over.
Because obviously Riley Herbst didn't advance his position, but there's also responsibility for that lead truck as well in regards to the double yellow line.
As Michael said, if you're deemed forcing somebody below that double yellow line, that they can penalize you.
I think Sauter is in the wrong here.
Johnny Sauter is not going to win the race. It's the 20 of Spencer Boyd.
Unreal is right. That's what you get at Talladega.
Unbelievable. Now Boyd's going to have to get back in the truck. He's going to have to go to victory lane. Oh, and Johnny Sauter is going to be furious.
Spencer Boyd finished fourth at Daytona. That was his career best. He did a great job there, and what an unbelievable job.
My guess is Johnny doesn't know because he doesn't have his helmet on, so there's no communication that has been able to be transferred to him. So now Spencer Boyd back in the truck and is going to...
If I was Spencer, I'd
get to the victory line.
Finish line, do me some burnouts. I want to celebrate this victory.
He just met Johnny on...
So Johnny Sauter has just been informed that he is being penalized for defending that position and below the double yellow line and is not the winner of this race. Well, Johnny's been through a lot in his career, but I'm guessing this one's going to be a tough one to take. Well, the range of emotions that Johnny must be feeling right now, going from believing that he had won the race to now being told that he did not.
I think it's smart of Johnny to gain his composure here and try his best to be able to talk to our reporters. And
there's Matt Crafton, Sauter's teammate, coming down to have conversation with Johnny.
You got 10 per second.
Alan Cavana's down with Johnny.
Johnny Sauter taking it in right now, they say, as he climbs out. Johnny, they say you went down below the yellow line to defend your position, took away the win from you. What's your view from your perspective?
It ain't the first win NASCAR's taken from me, so just proud of everybody at ThorSport. Can't thank those guys enough. Quarter Horse Congress, Tenda, Ford, everybody involved. You know, I went down to put a little block on him, but then when I did, I got hooked sideways, and that's just plate racing, and you know, I didn't block his advance or anything like that. So if I remember, I think Tony Stewart and Regan Smith had the same deal a few years back. So just hate it for my guys. You know, they deserve better than that. And what are you going to say?
You're going to look back on it. Is there anything you can do as the driver, as the leader in that position?
Oh, you did what you did. You know, I mean, you did what you thought was right. So it is what it is, man. It's whatever. You know, you're just running the race. Just proud of everybody at ThorSport's effort. Bo and all the guys in the Fab Shop, Finish Fab Paint Shop, did a great job. And, you know, we did what we thought was right to win the race. And whatever, you know, you got rules, I guess.
And we'll send it back up to the booth. It's Johnny Sauter here watching the end of the race.
What do you guys think?
I mean, it's clear in the driver's meeting, if you block someone advance by blocking them under the line, you could be black flagged, and Johnny did block the advance. Riley Herbst, awesome job with a big push from Spencer Boyd. I mean, those two executed. Johnny moved up the track to block, and the other guys got to the bottom before he did.
A brand new victory lane, and what a way to christen it with Spencer Boyd pulling in. Jamie is there.
And he gets the Gatorade shower. It's his 23rd race start in the Truck Series. 23 years old. The high fives all around. Spencer Boyd, you did not collect the win out on the racetrack. What was the message? How'd they tell you won the race?
Yeah, you know, I got out and they're like, hey, you know, it's under review. You never know what's going to happen here. The guys gave me a great truck, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, man, second is amazing for us. You know, we're happy. We finished fourth at Daytona in this truck. And then one of my crew guys is like, you just won. And I'm like, I can't believe this. I mean, 2 weeks ago, I wasn't running this race. We put this together late with Alabama Roofing Professionals and Freedom Warranty, and 1A Auto's been with me so long, and the Young family. It's been a tough season. It's been a lot of fun. I tell you, Randy Young, Becky Young giving me the shot to be in this 20 truck is unbelievable. Kick-ass beef jerky, everyone helping me out be here. A lot of people know how hard it is, and I'm just stoked, and my family's here. I can't believe it.
Before you go away to celebrate, how does this moment compare to what you expected it to be like?
I mean, I had no idea what to expect. You know, you dream of winning a NASCAR race. 4 years ago, I was selling cars with my dad at Hendrick Automotive Group. So a lot of people have believed in me to get me to this point, and so many car owners, and just the opportunity to be here with Tyler Young and his family and win for a family-owned team. And man, Alabama Roofing Professionals coming on board, Freedom Warranty, Kick-Ass Beef Jerky, MGP Caliper Covers. So many people helping me do this. Console Vault, 1A Auto's been with me so long. It's Talladega. Man, I don't drink beer, but it might happen tonight.
Well, congratulations.
23 years old from St. Louis, Missouri. His first career win, and a non-playoff guy again. This is the place that you come and you don't have to run for the championship. We said it at the beginning of the show. 6 are here to run for the championship. 26 others are here to win, too.
The thrill of victory and then the agony of defeat. Look at that swing of emotions just a couple hundred yards away from Spencer Boyd celebrating. Johnny Sauter's trying to process what happened on the track. And I'll say this for Johnny, he did what he had to do. Those two trucks were coming.
Oh yeah, he would have gotten beat.
He was going to get passed on the outside if he doesn't move up to block, and you know, he just couldn't get down fast enough to be able to block.
It's just so hard in these trucks, as we've talked about. It's not the same as an Xfinity car or a Monster Energy Cup car.
By the way, Johnny Sauter will be relegated to the last truck on the lead lap. He would not be granted a second place finish.
It's different than those, but it couldn't be any more fun, could it? Wow, what a great day at Talladega.
Sure. Hey, our next race coming your way October 26th. We'll be in another place that you never know what you're going to get. That'll be Martinsville, and we can't wait. Hey, how about 23-year-old Spencer Boyd? His first career win, victorious at Talladega.